I will just take you to the next round where Dr. Sushil will introduce. This is the Startup Pavilion, and now we have more than 17 startups who are going to present their work or their ideas in this session. And this is going to be for the first time in India in any medical conference. This is going to happen, and this again brings a startup community more close to investors, to the medical community. And what Gautam was talking about, we need to bridge the trust deficit. We need to bridge the gap. So I think this conference, this Startup Pavilion itself, is going to serve as a bridge in this, and it is of great value to us. Thank you everyone. I hand it over to Dr. Sushil to take it further.
Thank you, sir. And thank you to all the panelists and the moderator for this wonderful session. Actually, I am also working on one of the startup, and I can say that this means a lot to me, and maybe for all the other doctors who are in the startup or thinking about for this. So let's quickly move to the next session, that is a startup event. This is much awaited session of this entire program, where we can learn from the startups what they are doing and what is new in the field. So can I be able to share slide deck, please? Yes. So to introduce the moderator of this session is Mr. Tushar Ali Sadhu. He is an investor professional at the WL Venture. Before WL, he works on the growth and strategy projects across the product partnerships, marketing, fundraising as a part of the CEO's office. The digital therapeutic startup he graduated from the ISB with the public policy strategy marketing as my specialization. Prior to ISB, he worked as a ZS for the 3 years on the multiple consulting projects from the various healthcare clients. And his interest area lies at the confluence of the design, impact analytics, and the storytelling. So over to you, sir, for the moderation of this whole session. You can introduce our chairperson first, and then we can move on to the session.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Sushil. So, like I think the background was fairly covered. So just a quick recap there. So work with W Health Ventures. We are a digital health focused fund where we deploy capital in startups across India and the US. Before joining the investment industry, I've actually worked with a diabetes management company, which is a digital therapeutic startup, where I've had the fortune of working with a lot of stakeholders who are represented on the panel today. So really very excited about this like opportunity to be moderating the session here. And prior to that, have had experience in healthcare management consulting. And then, you know, that's what excites me even more to look at it from the lens of multiple different stakeholders here. Now, coming to the theme quickly, I'm sure all of you all have heard over the last 2 days 1,000 times that 20%, that's 1/5 of India, is dealing with one or the other chronic condition. Right? And technology is primarily now geared to take on the challenge and be a part of the regular workflow. But if we were to deep dive into the way these trends have evolved, the last decade or so, digital health has been synonymous largely with increasing access. What that means is the ability to get your medicines easily, to get a consult quickly. Now, what this means is patient care itself has not been the primary goal that the startups work with. And for the simple reason, there's been independent silos that have been working in the healthcare industry. That's the doctor community, which is at the front end of delivering care on the patient front. And then just as an access enabler have been some of the startups that have scaled today over the last decade or so. But interestingly, what we're seeing over the last 2 or 3 years more so has been a lot of emphasis on startups who are now working with the clinicians symbiotically to deliver patient care and actually impact clinical outcomes. Right? And that's been the most unique theme about the kind of startups who we are going to talk to today. And it also makes the DTech Con conference today a lot more relevant and very unique, because we're bringing together stakeholders, which is doctor systems and a lot of these doctors working in chronic care management and the technology and startup innovation players to further that adoption of technology and work as a complementary combined force that will be focused on patient outcomes. And that's what's probably been the most interesting theme that brings us all here together. Without taking further more time, I just would want to quickly give like a one-line description of how this event is going to be panning out. So we'll have a lot of startups, 14 startups today presenting from different parts of the world actually. Each startup will get around 8 minutes to talk about their focus. And the most interesting part here is largely centered around how the clinical outcome has been designed, how they're enabling care. And then there's a 2-minute question and answer followed by that, where the doctors and the faculty members are free to ask their questions to the startups, and also understand how they could work together from here on. So that's the very basic, simple theme here. And first up, we have the presenters from Goki. So would request Dr. Amit to invite
Tushar, thank you for introducing this session. And I would just like to introduce that Dr. Ami Sangvi is also chairing the session with you as you are going to moderate the session. And Dr. Ami Sangvi is very renowned diabetologist based in Mumbai. She is working at Sangvi Eye and Diabetes Care Center. And she is lecturer for CPS Diabetology, member of organizing committee of CID 2014. She has been associated with various organizations and various leadership roles. She has also authored various chapters, textbooks, and many publications. So she has vast experience in chronic care diseases, especially the diabetes management, the hypertension, the coronary artery disease, and all the problems that comes together with diabetes. So welcome, Dr. Ami. And Tushar is already here. So I think, Tushar, now the show is yours, and you can invite all the speakers one by one, and they can present their pitch here. So I would call it a pitch rather than a presentation, learning from the investors here. So you can proceed with your session, please. Thank you.
No, absolutely.
And just one more announcement. Since everybody is here, you can make this announcement repeatedly because we did not announce it earlier. In the evening during the valedictory function, we are going to announce one award for this session. So our credential committee is looking at this session, and they will come up with one award which we are going to announce during the valedictory function.
Got it. No, thank you so much for that announcement and introduction, Dr. Amit. So first up, we have Vishal from Goki. So the stage is all yours, Vishal. Really glad to have you today.
Thank you, everybody, and thanks for inviting me for this event. Even though I am a college dropout, it's really a pleasure and an honor to be speaking to all you experts in the world of diabetes care. My expertise actually is not in this space. I started my life as a computer games programmer and ended up creating India's biggest gaming company. And what I bring to the table when it comes to the world of diabetes and healthcare is what has been missing in this entire world. And I believe that's the whole aspect of motivation, adherence, and reward. Today, the challenge is that all the doctors already know the treatment therapies. We already know what people should be eating, what they should not be eating, what should be their medication. But the problem is that the minute the patient leaves the clinic, they go back to their old ways and they think, why is the medicine not working? Why am I being told to take insulin and all these things? So what I did was I put together an amazing concept with my background in gaming. And I want to actually quickly show a video. I hope I can share my screen right now, and which kind of gives you, I don't know if I can share the screen here right now. Anyway, so maybe the screen share is not working right now, but coming back to what the concept behind what Goki is doing is all about is motivating people to take charge of their own health. And what we believe is the fundamental issue being the problem of people losing motivation. Now, let me give you a very interesting example. Who do you think is the biggest competitor to all of us? It's not any of these companies here. It's not the healthcare industry. It's people who are making people lazy. So let me give you an example. Social networks. Their entire business model hinges on the fact that we want you to be lazy. We want you to be not active. Facebook, Instagram, all these apps are really doing that. Similarly, when you look at food apps like Zomato and Swiggy, they are constantly offering you all kinds of deals and discounts for eating junk food. And if you look at a platform like Netflix biggest competition is sleep. So they don't want people to sleep. So when it comes to that, what I said was let's turn the table on this very concept. And what we did is we created an entire system of gamification where every behavior is rewarded. So when you use the Goki app, you of course get a wearable tracker and you get all the other things. But more important than the tracking and the services itself is the reward mechanism which we have built in. And this reward mechanism is very, very powerful. We have been working with behavior scientists and game developers from across the world. And to just give you an interesting anecdote here, we are literally telling you that once you change your behavior, your daily behavior of walking, your daily behavior of as simple as even drinking a glass of water, you get points for that, which we call Goki Cash. And these points translate into what we call an entire ecosystem of rewards. And in fact, we just announced 1 gram of gold for 1 point HbA1c reduction in our program. And that's completely mind blowing because for the first time, we are going to a patient and telling the patient that your data is gold. The problem is people are not tracking their data enough. People are not looking at the biomarkers enough. While they definitely do it when they go to see the doctor, but jaise wo bahar nikalte hain, they don't want to do that. So what we are trying to do is to align the interest of the patient and the doctor and the healthcare system by incentivizing them with data. And this actually leads to an ecosystem of services. And that's where the reward comes in. So in fact, the big question for us is, and as you know, we don't call our users as patients. They are actually what are called players or khiladi. And of course, Akshay Kumar also happens to be our brand ambassador. So what we are telling is, let's play this game of life. And your doctor and all of us are participants in helping you win. And that's the whole aspect of gamification and Goki. And we've got massive success. I mean, I can present, case studies, but you already know that, right? So we are not trying to solve a problem of actually any kind of therapy. The therapy is already there. So we ally with doctors. And that's really comes to one of the big challenge of the entire digital therapeutics industry of people saying, Kiare, we'll reverse diabetes, we'll do that, we'll do that. The reality is, as platforms, I am not interested in reversing anything. I'm interested in rewarding the consumer, the patient to do the behavior. And that's what Goki is doing. We also recently announced what we are calling the Goki Health Metaverse. So we are now taking this concept of what you saw with diabetes, which is the start of what we do, to the next level of saying that can we reimagine the healthcare system where rewards are at the crux of it. Imagine when you take an airline, you get points. When you buy anything, all loyalty programs are coming in. Is there a loyalty program for health? And that is what we are building on the blockchain. And we have partnered with some of the biggest names in the world, including Animoca, who runs Sandbox. And I'm also happy to announce that, in fact, next week, I am in the UK. We are launching this program with somebody, none other than NHS. So NHS is now our partner to take this program into the United Kingdom because the system there wants to promote what we call complementary therapy. And that's really what we are building. So to summarize, what I'm really here to say is that my experience and Goki's experience with doctors and the healthcare system is here to make sure patients are adhering and are rewarded for it. And the reward mechanism works. We know that incentives drive behavior, and that's what we are doing. The second thing is we are making data at the center of it. So the entire incentivization model works on healthcare data, which we know is gold. And today, none of the patients care about it. And finally, this entire thing seamlessly integrates into a platform which doctors can see. So your patient data, you will be able to see, of course, with their permission. So doctors have a dashboard, you can see the outcomes, and you can literally see what is happening in their day-to-day behavior. And that's really what our strength as game developers and gaming experts are. So today we have close to a little less than 1 million users already in India. And with the scaling up, we believe that we'll be able to serve 130 crore people in India. But more than that, we are looking to take this solution to 7.2 billion people in the world. So thanks a lot again for the opportunity. Happy to take any questions. I'm sorry I was not able to show you the video, but if you Google Goki, you'll be able to see a lot of these things online already.
Dr. Ami, if I can come in between, just wanted to tell everybody that you can present your PPTs as well as videos. Just need to request the team, the event team. The person who is presenting or who is speaking gets the right to present his PPT as well. So the next speakers can just request the team.
And share it from their side.
Yeah, may I request you all to limit your presentation to 10 minutes because we have 17 startups and we need to finish them in 3 hours. So let's stick to time, please. Thank you.
Absolutely. We have a couple of minutes on us to see if there are any questions for Vishal and Team Goki. So any of the faculty members who would want to pose a direct question can unmute themselves and ask the question. Alternatively, you can use the chat function and we could read out the questions. Cool. So yeah, I think we don't have any questions, Vishal. It was as comprehensive as ever. So thank you so much for walking us through the amazing platform that you've built. Personally, have seen it grow over a long time. So really a pleasure hearing from you. We can move to the next.
I would just like to make one comment, Tushar, here. Vishal, you have made an excellent presentation. And I think the idea which you are bringing to the forefront is actually going to improve the lifestyle. So what lacks is that most of the time we are able to advise the medications, we are able to advise a lot of medical stuff. But when it comes to lifestyle, the patient or anybody is there on their own. And the most difficult part is to change or address the lifestyle or the behavior. So I think the one aspect which your program addresses is the lifestyle. And this is the first, and this is key to the success of any chronic care disease management. So we look forward to more and more from your Goki, and we wish you all the best. Thank you for being our valued presenter here. Thank you. Thank you.
Amit, I think we can try to play Vishal's video as well.
Yes, Vishal, if you have any video, you can please share it. You can. I think all the participants, they are allowed to share their screen and the PPTs. Yes. So all of you, please be ready with your PPTs and presentation. If you have any, you are free to do that.
And Vishal, if you want to play, please play the video.
Vishal, you can play your video.
I'll just share it in this. मेरे यहाँ से हो नहीं रहा है. I tried, so I'm just going to put it in the chat. So if you can somebody can play the video. Yes. It's a YouTube.
RX, please take from the chat box and play the video of the Vishal.
Sure.
It's the YouTube link. Yeah. I've posted the YouTube link.
Thanks for that, Vishal. I think Nishad and team RX are working on making this live for the audience.
I think one other thing I just want to add over here is what you just said is lifestyle, right? So it's like saying कि जब गाड़ी चलती है, when you see an accident, you're only seeing the accident. But what you really need to see is how the person is driving the car on a daily basis. And that's what we change. So here we can have the video on this right now. Please go ahead and play.
Diabetes has become one of India's fastest growing concerns. This seemingly common disease can seriously increase the risk of stroke, retinopathy, heart diseases, kidney damage, amputation, and can make you more susceptible to deadly infections such as COVID-19. But diabetes can also be defeated by improving your diet, sleep, lifestyle, along with following your prescribed medication. This is where our solution comes in. Our smart technology and ISO certified services are designed to lower blood glucose and HbA1c levels. Our offering includes a smart glucometer for monitoring your blood glucose, a Goki Smart Vital Plus, a revolutionary health tracker with ISO and CDS CO certification, to HbA1c tests, a certified nutritionist with unlimited chats and monthly calls to improve your diet, monthly doctor's consultation, and daily exercise coaching. Our nutritionist analyzes your lifestyle and creates a custom diet plan. The coaches create a training program to help you lose weight while Goki doctors keep track of diabetes management. Our solution packs even more great features such as Goki Arena, Goki Play, and a curated diabetes e-store. Our health ecosystem is a comprehensive care program designed to help you and your loved ones defeat diabetes. We even award you with a gram of gold for 1% drop in your HbA1c levels. So what are you waiting for? Join India's only holistic health program for defeating diabetes. Ask your doctor or leading chemist about the Goki Diabetes Care Program or call 829-100-1515 to learn more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vishal. I think we can now move forward to the next presentation from Ultra Human, whom you would have seen a lot in the news and on multiple platforms and forums. So really a pleasure to have you here today. Bhuvan, I believe, is presenting from Team Ultra Human. Over to you.
Thanks. Thanks, Sachin. I'm just going to try to present my screen. Are you guys able to see that?
Absolutely, yeah. Let me confirm we can see the screen. You could go into presentation mode if...
yeah, I'll do that. Okay, great. So again, thank you for having us. Vishal is a veteran and a hard act to follow, but I'll do my best. What we wanted to talk about was using technology and community to improve metabolic health. So, again, Vishal has talked about it. Some of the other speakers have also talked about the fact that, at the heart of all of this is better metabolic health for everyone. And so that's what we're trying to achieve. Quick introduction of myself. I studied at Johns Hopkins and Wharton, always been in healthcare for a very long time. I was an R&D scientist at Medtronic, working on CGMs 15 years ago. Not many people were working on CGMs at that time. At that time, CGMs were considered something that only type 1 diabetics would use. But the importance of sugar and glucose and insulin management has become so much more well understood in the last 15 years, to the point where what we are trying to do is actually democratize this for everybody, and leading to the same lifestyle changes that again have been discussed in this forum. Why are we doing this? Similar to Vishal, we're trying to help a lot of people. There are a lot of people that suffer from a metabolic disorder. Frankly, nobody knows. We think it's at least 1 billion. So there's a lot of people who need help. The interesting part of this is that lifestyle change is actually powerful. There's a lot that can be done through lifestyle change. There are studies which have been done which show that if you lose 5% of your body weight, let's say you're pre-diabetic, you lose 5% of your body weight, you will actually cut your risk of diabetes by more than half. You can push out the risk of diabetes for 10 to 15 years. And some studies have actually even compared those to medication. So especially when you're pre-diabetic, you do have a chance at making just lifestyle changes, and preventing the onset of diabetes, or at least pushing it out. The problem with that is everybody knows losing weight is hard, changing lifestyle is hard, building good habits is hard. If we could all work out for 30 minutes, sleep for 8 hours, not be stressed, I think we would all be in a much better place, but it's just hard to do. We all have lives, we have lots of stuff going on. So that's difficult to do. I think the interesting part is that now there are lots of companies, you might have heard of digital therapeutics, it's an interesting new space. These are, it sounds kind of like magic, right? You literally play a game and your behavior changes. You play a game and something changes in your in the disorder that you might have. So some of these games have been used for kids with ADHD. They've been used for insomnia. They've been used for anxiety, and also cancer, type 2 diabetes, and things like that. So this is already FDA approved. This is not. I'm calling it a game, but actually it's therapy. On our end, what we discovered was, what are we trying to do, right? What are we trying to help people with? We're trying to figure out for you, specifically for you, what is the highest ROI intervention? So our approach is use wearables, figure out in your lifestyle, what is the smallest change you can make? We don't want to depend on motivation, because motivation is high on Jan 1st, it's high on Monday morning, but then it peters out after that. So we don't want, the Wednesday hump day or the Thursday binge eating. We don't want to depend on your motivation because that runs out. So what we're trying to figure out is, honestly, what is the zero motivation action that you can take today? The way you do that is actually figuring out what works for you. So do you have an insulin sensitivity problem? Do you have an activity problem? Do you have a nutrition problem? Maybe you could even have a microbiome problem, right? You could have a stress problem, which is leading to cortisol spikes. So we are trying to figure that out and offer you the smallest possible change that you can make. And once you get momentum from there, then you will find it easier to build habits. All the habit change guys have always said that the science says after the feedback from any intervention, on mute. Yeah, thank you. So the faster the feedback from any intervention, the more likelihood of success of the person maintaining that habit going forward. So we are trying to give you real-time feedback as quickly as possible so that we have a shot at making a lasting change. We've seen that CGMs across the world have been effective and versatile. It's, this technology is from 1999. I used to work at Medtronic. They invented this thing in 99. Obviously, Abbott and Dexcom are the leaders today. But this slide was just to demonstrate that, across PCOS, fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver, diabetes mellitus, in GDM, basically gestational diabetes mellitus, obviously with diabetes, CGMs are actually proving to be pretty effective. The other part that we discovered, or rather has been discovered over the last few years, is that social networks are actually very important. They actually drive your behavior. They drive your perception of what is healthy, what is not healthy. So what we wanted to do was combine technology and also the power of community to get good outcomes. And so this is our approach. The first part is gamification. So we give you a metabolic score that you're supposed to improve during the course of the day. You start with 100 and you sort of lose points during the course of the day. And people try hard to improve it, right? And then we tell you, are you in the top 10%? Are you in the top 20%? Stuff like that. The second part is food and nutrition. We give you a food score. Every time you eat some food, we give you a food score. This is based not on, for example, macros or anything. This is literally what's happening inside your body. So when my wife and I eat the same thing, like let's say we eat dhokla or we eat kadi chawal or something, we will actually get different food scores because our insulin sensitivity is different, our microbiome is different, all of that stuff. So this is very, very personalized. Lastly is fueling for workouts. One of the reasons we don't work out, or at least I don't work out sometimes, is that I feel pretty crappy at the end of the workout. I feel tired, I feel exhausted. If you fuel yourself better, you will actually end the workout feeling good. Anyway, you're getting endorphins and so on. But what you don't want is feeling so exhausted after the workout that you say, man, it's going to be many, many days before I recover from this. So we give you a fueling score to understand what happened during your workout so that you can fuel better. This is a little bit of a zoom in on the metabolic score. We've taken glucose variability, mean glucose, time in range, and a bunch of other factors to figure out, what is that metabolic score? It's a combination of your metabolic health today. So like, for example, all the normal biomarkers that you would have around, insulin sensitivity, triglycerides and all of that stuff. But also it's something that changes day to day, meaning that if you perform good activities, it'll actually reward you and you will get more points over time. So it's a mix of the two. Over time, we want you to improve your metabolic score. So the other part is, the powerful part about having a data platform like this is literally we have, now millions of data points, and our nudges, our guidelines are actually getting better on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's really what we're really excited about. The more people we get on this, kind of like self-driving cars, the more people who get on this, the better this will get. Obviously, we're very, very serious about the science behind this. That's why we're presenting here. And that's why we have a clinical trial, which is going to be kicked off in the next, literally in the next few days. That's going to have 100 people, mix of non-diabetics and pre-diabetics, to show that, the metabolic score actually correlates with clinical biomarkers that all of the doctors are familiar with. Moving on to community, I'll quickly wrap this up. We have today the largest community, metabolic health focused community in India. We get more than 2 million views a month. This is growing quickly, it's doubling every month. Idea is, let's make this friendly, right? Health is a pretty serious topic. It's an intimidating topic. We want to flip it on its head and make it a fun topic, something that people are curious about, and that's really working. And we find that people are used to swiping through Instagram and seeing other stuff. They're actually engaging with us quite a lot on social media, as well as going through the blogs, which are sort of a little bit more the meat of the stuff, which is taking scientific articles and making it a bit easier to read. This has been really cool. Historically, people have been very scared to share health data, right? And health data, while private and personal, people have sort of gone overboard in saying, look, there's a stigma attached to it. I think we are destigmatizing that, and that's what is also causing the community to become a lot more friendly. In the last 6 months, we've actually made CGMs friendly. Like a year ago, people would have said, "Oh my God, this is a medical device. Why would I put this on my body?" Now it's like, "Oh my God, this is so cool. When can I get mine?" So I think that's been nice to see. Quickly, the results. People are interested. I mean, we have 75,000 people on the wait list saying, "I want a CGM." That's not something I would have predicted 6 months ago. When they get it, they're opening the app 16 times a day. For context, Instagram is 12 times a day. People are getting interested in figuring out what's happening in their own body, which is something new. Normally, it's something that, I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to do this test because what if I get bad news? This is pretty much the opposite of that. So people are having fun with this. Obviously, the outcomes matter. So we are seeing this is a DIY approach right now. We will obviously we're working with many doctors in the audience to make this specialized for different therapies. But at least even with the DIY approach, what you see is the average glucose variability goes down 10% within 28 days. And the time in range improvement is 10 to 15% within 28 days. So we are actually seeing live results within a matter of days. So that's very, very exciting. So imagine if you had a little bit more support, you had a doctor or a nutritionist, somebody helping you, and imagine if you continue this trajectory for a longer period of time, 6 months, 12 months. That's, I think, when we will see the real impact. That's it. Let me wrap it up. Open it up to questions.
Thank you so much, Bhuvan. As someone who's used the CGM and been on digital therapeutics, I can totally vouch for the combined power of both. So open to questions. Faculty members, please unmute yourself and let us know if you have any questions or would want clarity on anything. Dr. Amit, if there are no questions, we could move to the next presentation.
Yeah, I think we should.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Bhuvan. Really appreciate you joining us today.
Just a comment, Tushar. Sorry for being late in commenting on this. Bhuvan, I think your concept is very beautiful. And the way you have shown that there is such a long wait list, I think the idea is catching up. And your startup seems to be, I don't call it a startup, but it is a very promising thing which you are doing for the metabolic health, to improve the metabolic health of the people all across the world. So we wish you all the best. And thank you for being a presenter here. And now we can move. Dr. Ami, would you like to make any comment on this metabolic health and metabolic parameters?
Yeah, so actually I've been contacted by Mr. Bhuvan. He's going to be sending me across, is what I understand. So I'm actually looking forward to using it. And yes, there are things changing. We have a lot of things which have come around of late and they are working. And as he mentioned, more than Instagram, people are watching this 16 times a day. So I think that's where it makes people more aware about, how to be taking care of their health. So I guess something to really look forward to. And I'm sure it will help to change the way people look at their health now.
Thank you, Dr. Ami. We get, even without us knowing, people like Ritik and Shreyas Iyer and all that somehow get hold of this. And then people message us saying, "Hey, can you live stream Ritik's glucose?" So, it's just nice to see people getting excited about health, whereas previously it was a little bit of a stigma. So we're just really happy that that change has taken.
The whole scenario is changing.
And we would love to hear from all the entrepreneurs here and investors here that how this initiative by the DTech is actually helps you, or does it makes any sense to you? Does it it is of any kind of value. Does it brings any value to the ecosystem? So that because next year we are going to have a face-to-face meeting, and again the World Congress of Diabetes Technology. Very soon we are going to announce the dates for that. And this year we couldn't accommodate many of the startups because we were not aware that we are going to get such a good response. So in the last minute, the session was actually planned to have only 7 to 8 presentation. It was scheduled for only 1 hour. Now it is extending for more than 2 hours, I guess. So thank you for your responses. Thank you so much.
So next up we have Dr. Divya Rao representing Remedio. Over to you, Dr. Divya.
Hi everyone, is my screen visible?
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Firstly, thank you so much, Dr. Amit and Dr. Banshi Sahu and the team for giving me an opportunity to speak today. A little bit about myself. I'm an ophthalmologist, a glaucoma specialist who worked at LV Prasad Eye Institute as a clinician scientist before I pivoted into the industry, working at the intersection of ophthalmology and technology. And I'm leading the clinical efforts at Remedio, where we are looking to develop portable, simple to use solutions to improve access to eye care screening. So what I'll be discussing today is how are we looking to transform diabetic eye disease screening with a smartphone-based, easy to use offline AI. So what is diabetic eye disease? Basically, it's a group of ocular conditions that affects those with diabetes. And this includes diabetic retinopathy, diabetic macular edema, cataracts, and glaucoma. We already have the world's first offline AI that can detect diabetic retinopathy on a portable handheld fundus camera that's in use for the past 2 years now. And now what we have developed is an AI solution that can also detect glaucoma, which is what I will be speaking and highlighting today. So the obvious next questions are, what is glaucoma? Why should a physician and a diabetologist screen for glaucoma? Is this really beneficial? What tests do I use? What do I look for? And who should I refer? So let's just go over all of these quickly. Glaucoma is basically a chronic progressive optic neuropathy, and it's characterized by structural changes in the optic nerve associated with visual field, concomitant visual field defects. So in simple terms, optic nerve is a cable that connects the eye to the brain, and this, if left untreated, can lead to visual loss and blindness. So while there are several risk factors for glaucoma, diabetes mellitus is one of them. And we all know that it's one of the leading causes of irreversible blindness. And what is very alarming is 90% of those with glaucoma remains undetected in developing countries. While the prevalence of glaucoma is around about 2%, you can see that in those with diabetes, this automatically jumps to about 5%. So literally there's it's a doubling of the chance of glaucoma in those with diabetes. There are two different forms of glaucoma that you're at risk for. One is called as a primary open angle glaucoma, and another is a very complex, aggressive secondary glaucoma called as neovascular glaucoma that is very commonly seen in these patients with severe diabetic retinopathy. In fact, almost 50% of those with neovascular glaucoma is due to those with a very advanced form of diabetic retinopathy called as proliferative diabetic retinopathy. And this is very difficult to manage with higher failure rates of intervention. So what is the role of a physician here? As we all know, diabetologists are have a pivotal role in managing these patients, and they're a primary contact for managing a diabetic patient. So this gives an opportunity to screen these patients early for diabetic eye disease and follow them over time. So there are several models that have been looked at in terms of diabetic retinopathy screening itself, and it has been accepted in India and world over that teleophthalmology screening models using non-Mydriatic fundus cameras and having teleophthalmology graders or using AI is an acceptable solution now globally. And in fact, there are 2 FDA-approved algorithms for diabetic retinopathy, which is already now in use. And the only way that we can actually bridge the gap between the low doctor population ratio and to screen for these conditions is the use of technology like AI. So for glaucoma, basically, to make a diagnosis, it's a combination of tests which looks at intraocular pressure, looks at structural changes in the eye, and also at functional changes. While we've sort of solved the problem of developing portable devices for intraocular pressure and functional changes where you're actually trying to see what part of the visual field is lost, structural changes is still an issue, and there are limitations in terms of technology that have been developed, like portable solutions with integrated AI. And currently, there's no single cost-effective device that is ideal alone for screening. So what has our approach been for screening for glaucoma? So we understand that optic nerve head evaluation is the mainstay for looking at structural changes. And we have a flagship product, which is the Remedios fundus on phone device, which can actually capture images of the back of the eye without dilating the patient's pupil. And on this device, which also has an AI for diabetic retinopathy, now we have also developed a solution that can detect those with likely glaucoma. So in effect, it's bringing objectivity to diagnosis and can improve access to those who have improve access to screening. So the novelty of this solution is with one device, you can actually screen for both diabetic retinopathy and glaucoma simultaneously. So here is a quick video on how the AI, is deployed on the phone. It's very simple. You take one image per eye, you select the images, submit it to the AI for analysis, and literally within few seconds, it will give you a report whether there is presence of referable glaucoma or not, and it will also highlight areas which are abnormal. So to give you a quick overview of how this algorithm develops, so what are the components of this algorithm? So you click an image of the back of the eye with a portable handheld fundus camera, and a quality check algorithm will give you a feedback whether the image is of sufficient quality or not, or an image needs to be retaken. Then there are 2 separate neural networks that run. One is a segmentation model, which gives you a measurement called a cup to disc ratio. And this is what an ophthalmologist uses as a critical measurement in relation to the optic disc size to make a diagnosis for glaucoma. And second is a classification model that looks at several other features in the optic disc to make a recommendation for referral, along with what we call as class activation maps. So basically, this is how the report looks on the left side. And in the center is what you see. There is an outline of the optic cup and the optic disc, and you actually get a measurement called the vertical cup to disc ratio. And what you see on the right side is what we call as class activation maps. And these maps actually highlight the areas which are abnormal, which the model has used to make a diagnosis. And this is actually looking at typical features that a ophthalmologist would look at to make a diagnosis. For example, here you see a very subtle retinal nerve fiber layer defect that has been picked up by the AI. So what do these reports really mean for a physician? So if the report says referable glaucoma, it means that the patient has likely glaucoma and needs an immediate referral to an ophthalmologist. And the report says it's a disc suspect. That means that there is an abnormal VCDR and needs a non-urgent referral. So how is this AI actually helping? It's
Dr.
empowering.
Just a quick time check. Sorry, Dr. Rao, just a quick time check. If we could conclude in the next 30 seconds to accommodate for some questions. Really sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So this is basically empowering a physician to make an objective diagnosis and to move a patient into an eye care pathway early. The novelty is that it's affordable, it's simple to use, and it's an integrated solution for both diabetic retinopathy and glaucoma. It's been validated in prospective studies before being commercialized, and it's basically adding value. It's a value-based care that a physician can provide to improve outcomes. And in the West, of course, it can be reimbursed and is used as a measure to improve HEDIS scores. I will not go into the details, but as we did for the diabetic retinopathy algorithm, this algorithm has been validated in clinical trials with excellent agreement to objective diagnosis, and has also shown to be very close to what a glaucoma specialist would provide as a diagnosis. So in conclusion, now AI-based systems have the potential to screen for diabetic eye disease and can screen for diabetic retinopathy and glaucoma simultaneously. They're quick, reliable, and objective, and can empower physicians to provide value-based care, and can overall improve healthcare efficiency by moving eye care screening away from ophthalmologists. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rao. Do we have any questions from the faculty?
I have a couple of questions which we have got from the participants. Dr. Divya, I think the idea is very, very good, and you have actually shown that, because this was a very big limitation. And because we were able to, even when we were examining the fundus, earlier we used to use the simple fundus camera, handheld fundus ophthalmic device to look for the retinopathy. But what happened is that now we are using the AI-based devices and all. And many a times it happens that we need to dilate the patient. The patient often asks about us that you are telling only about the retinopathy, but cataract is something which we can tell without even any device. Clinical examination can tell. But the examination of the glaucoma is something which is difficult for a physician. In a ophthalmic practice, it is not something like that. So for a physician, I think it really adds a lot of value to our clinical examination, because we are able not only to detect the retinopathy, but also we are going to detect the glaucoma as well. So I think glaucoma is also having a hidden burden. Again, it is one of the leading cause of blindness, and again, it's a preventable cause of blindness. So I think it brings a lot of value to my practice. So what do you suggest that how this device should be integrated in clinical practice?
So the device, as you rightly mentioned, Dr. Amit, is a handheld fundus camera. So all that needs to be done is, when you're seeing your patient in the clinic, take an image of the back of the eye, and automatically the AI would tell you whether image quality is good or not, and you basically hit a button and you will know whether there is diabetic retinopathy or glaucoma, and the report will automatically tell you whether you need to refer the patient to an ophthalmologist. So in clinical practice, it is very easy to integrate it into the workflow that is already there, because you can literally have that camera in your OPD setup and click an image of the back of the eye.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure, Doctor.
Yeah, so actually being an ophthalmologist's wife,
okay.
Yeah, my husband is an ophthalmologist. So I think it definitely adds value, because glaucoma, we do not talk to our patients much. We talk about retinopathy all the time. And when we send them across to see the pressures, the pressures sometimes come high. What I want to understand from this device is, would it even catch hold of minor changes in the pressures, or is it only when the pressures are really high, or if there is a cupping or something, it's discovered, or it's only the minor, the initial changes and the pressures also caught up here?
Yeah, great question, Dr. Ami. So for a diagnosis of glaucoma, I completely agree. You need a battery. This as a replacement for intraocular pressure. This is looking at what changes that occur at the back of the eye. As far as what we have found now in our clinical studies is that it's able to pick early glaucoma, moderate as well as advanced. So as of now, I wouldn't definitely say this is a replacement for intraocular pressure. But I think the approach is a bit different here. What we're trying to do is, with one fundus image, how can we screen for multiple conditions, both diabetic retinopathy and glaucoma, with a good enough accuracy, and move them to the care pathway early.
Dr. Divya, just one more question which is coming from Dr. Ami, that can we predict and identify those who are at risk of developing glaucoma from this device?
So as of now, it is not having a risk score where you can actually predict who could develop glaucoma. As of now, this tool is detecting those who have the highest likelihood of having glaucoma currently. But what we are looking to develop in the future is some quantitative measurements on this tool, which could potentially identify glaucoma even more early. But as of now, it's good to identify those who have glaucoma right now.
At least it can exclude those who don't have disc changes or those who don't have any advanced changes of the glaucoma. So along with the fundus examination, we also can comment that there is no existing damage on the retina or the disc as such the glaucoma is concerned.
Absolutely. Right. Because the clinical study also showed that the specificity of those with no glaucoma is very high, meaning to say that there would hardly be any patients with no glaucoma being referred, which is what we really want as well. While it is very sensitive, you also need it to be very specific so that you're not overburdening the system by over-referring patients.
So the negative predictive value is very high.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity.
Thank you.
I think we move on.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Rao. Next up, we have Shivtosh from SugarFit. Over to you, Shivtosh.
Thanks,
I think you're on mute. Yeah.
I'll just try to present my screen. Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, we can.
Cool. So I'll quickly start. Good morning, everyone. I'm from SugarFit, a co-founder at SugarFit. And just to give you a brief introduction, right? SugarFit, we have just built this product, which kind of helps people reverse both type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes using a lot of things. And I'll talk about that as I go in. So today, what I wanted to speak about is how is our AI, how is our tech kind of building that holistic solution and helping people reverse type 2 diabetes. So we all know, right, that type 2 diabetes has become like a major problem in India. It's a lifestyle chronic care condition. We have unfortunately become the diabetes capital of the world. We have like close to 75 million people who are type 2, some 80 million people who are pre, so almost 150 million people who are kind of identified as diabetics and many more who are not even diagnosed. So it has become like a key problem in India and across the world. So the objective of the study that we have done was, in retrospective, can we figure out that what is the combined impact of various lifestyle intervention that we have on our SugarFit approach, and how does that impact your three important things? One is your HbA1c, the second one is your fasting blood sugar, and the third is your body weight. And then kind of figure out that what are the interventions that we are having, how each of these is impacting the three objectives, and then kind of curate on those, dig deep on those, and kind of figure out that which are the most important ones. Yeah. So we have done this study on 150 individuals who are type 2 diabetic. That was the test group. And in control group, we had 110 individuals, again on type 2 diabetes, again with type 2 diabetes, but who were on usual pharmacological treatment. The study was done over a period of 90 days. Now, before we get into the study and the results, I just wanted to bring your attention to what we are doing at SugarFit and what are the key problem statements we are solving, right? And I think Vishal and Bhuvan very clearly pointed out the first one, that there is a lack of continued motivation today and that habit formation, because diabetes is a lifestyle problem. It's not there is not a miracle pill, right, that you'll have and tomorrow you are all sorted. It's a lifestyle problem, and it will require a lifestyle, small habits that need to change, that needs to form, which will help you over the long term. The second key problem is today the existing stakeholders work in silos. You have doctors, you have nutritionists, you have physical trainers, all of them work in silos. And then the kind of interventions that you get, the lifestyle interventions basically, are very generic and lacks personalization. And that is where we come into play. The whole program is centered around a doctor and a nutritionist who are also your coaches. And then on top of it, we have a layer of AI which kind of helps these people to take better decisions about you, to create those personalized plan. We also have FDA approved sensors, Libre sensors, which is given to all our users, which can give us real-time insights into their food, fitness, sleep, and the impact of that on their overall glucose levels. We also do multiple comprehensive checks, diagnostic tests, 70 plus parameters after every 3 months, because that is where we get a lot of data about the users and also know the progress, how they are progressing for their HbA1c levels. And we have a doctor who does multiple number of consults with the user, because in the end, a doctor is one who will be able to take decisions on your medicines. And then we create a very highly personalized plan. And these plans will be around your food, around your fitness, around your sleep, and around your healthy habits as well. So what we are trying to build here at SugarFit is a very connected ecosystem, because data is really helpful, right? And data, like how Vishal was saying, that reward is one form of motivation. What we believe is, while reward is important, what is also important is it should come intrinsically. Extrinsic kind of a reward might not work in long term. So we are solving for that instant gratification, that the moment I have a food, am I able to tell you what is the impact of that food on your glucose level? The moment you do exercise, am I able to tell you how good or bad that exercise was? And then if you form that habit in the long term, what is the impact it is going to have on your HbA1c levels? Now, to do that, it is important to get data, right? So that is why we have built a very connected ecosystem. You'll be able to connect all your fitness wearables. We have also made logging an activity, which is a big pain point today, very simple. So now you can take a picture, upload, and we'll be able to tell you and register that what are the items that you ate, what is the calorie and all that stuff. You can even do voice-based logging, because a lot of people, even if you don't understand English, it's available in 5 regional languages as well, where you can just open the app and say, I had roti today morning, 4 rotis, and then I'll be able to track that, give you the calorie. You can even log today using WhatsApp. On WhatsApp, you can go on the SugarFit WhatsApp chat and you can just say, this is what I had today, and the system will kind of register that. We have your CGMs, your connected glucometers, and we are working on phase-based vital recording. This is again in beta phase with some of our users, where we'll be able to look at you for 15 to 30 seconds, and accordingly, we'll be able to generate a lot of data about you. And with these connected ecosystem, what we are able to get is close to 100 plus signals, which are being captured on a day-to-day basis. And accordingly, I'm able to create your own persona. So we know that if you eat this food tomorrow, this is the impact that it is going to have on your sugar levels. If you do this exercise, this is the impact it is going to have. If you do not sleep for a certain number of hours, if the number of hypos in your night are these many, then this is the impact that it is going to have on your sugar levels. And this data is presented both to the user, to the doctor, and to the coach. And accordingly, your coach and your doctor will be able to create these personalized plans. So you'll have your real-time metabolic scores. You'll have actionable insights, which are also real time, that if something happened, we'll be able to tell you now is the time you do these things, because you are in a hypo state or you are in a hyper state. All your meal plans are highly quantified. And what I mean by quantified is we do not believe in fat dieting. So there is no keto, there is no GM diet. It's all what you eat in your kitchen, but it's all calorie counted. For your, not just calorie counted, also your macro and micro counted, because every individual is very different. And we understand that what will be the impact of certain calorie on your body. We focus a lot on fitness and mindfulness, because we understand that the 3 tripods, right, are your nutrition, fitness, and mindfulness. Just nutrition will not help. So we have plethora of personalized classes that we do on fitness for every individual personally, as well as group classes that are run on our app, which users can attend, and a lot of mindfulness sessions and one-on-one videos which are given to all our users. And then medicine titration is left to the doctors, because they are the best judge of that. And this is how we create a very personalized, very comprehensive plan for all our users, which help them kind of reverse their diabetes in short to medium term. So these are just some of the snapshots of the app. I think I'll just skip through it. So you can see a real-time graph on your app. You can see the impact of different food, which are the food which are good, bad, ugly for you. Coming to the results, right? So like I was saying, the 3 key parameters that we have tracked, the North Star metric, are HbA1c, your FBS, and your body weight. So in HbA1c, the baseline of the control group was, of the test group was 9. And what we saw is within 90-day period, we were able to reduce it to 7.1. So that means a mean decrease of 1.9 points in HbA1c level. Whereas the control group, what we saw was it started with 7.13, but it was able to almost stay stagnant or slightly increase to 7.18. What you see on the table here on the top right is what was the different HbA1c level buckets, and what was the age bucket, and how did your HbA1c level drop? So anyone in 6.5 to 7.5 with the age of 20 to 35 was able to reduce 1.27 points in their HbA1c level. And just to again clarify, this is just a 90-day program, 90-day result, whereas our program is for complete year, and we are very sure that most of them will be able to reverse their diabetes in the next 3 months. So within 6 months period, close to 90% of our users will be able to reverse their diabetes, like get it below 6.5 HbA1c and no active glycemic medication. Similar results was seen for blood sugar level, your FBS. We started with 178 as an average, and we were able to get it down to 116, whereas and the mean reduction was close to 62, whereas in our control group, it started with 142 and it almost remains stagnant at 141. Again, age-wise, what you can see is people who are slightly younger were able to reduce it more, because again, they are very, we were able to do a lot of fitness interventions also with them, and hence you see a slightly higher number here. But overall, we see that 62-point reduction in your FBS levels. And very similar was the story for your weight as well. So the average weight was 76 kg. Within 90-day period, we were able to reduce it by 2.83 kg, close to 3 kgs. Whereas in your control group, that number was again almost stagnant or slightly increased from 73.2 to 73.8. Just one caveat here, because a lot of the mean weight loss is only 2.83, because not all of our participants were in that category of weight loss goal. There were some in weight gain, and there were some who had a normal BMI range, and hence they were in a maintain bucket. So these 79% were in a weight loss gain, were in a weight loss category, and there we were able to reduce their weight by 3.18 kgs.
Shito, just a quick time check. I think we've
I think I just have 10 seconds. 10-15 seconds. So there's a summary. So HbA1c dropped by 1.87, FBS dropped by 62, and average weight change of 2.8 kg. What I really wanted to highlight as a conclusion, right, that we believe that these intensive daily lifestyle interventions that we give, that slow approach, that building that habit, is the way to go, because that is something which is sustainable and it will give you a long-term everlasting impact. We also felt that the moment you have a coach, right, who is always holding you accountable, who is always telling you whether you are on the right track or no, or if there is someone who you can go back and kind of talk about your problems, that really helps. And that was also seen here, that people who had more actively engaged with the coach, with the community, saw a slightly higher reduction in their HbA1c and in their weight loss gain. And the biggest problem, like I was talking about, is getting the input metrics from the user. So more and more you build a connected ecosystem where you are automatically able to take that data. I think your life will be easier and you will be able to give more insights to the user, because while user wants to know insight, they do not want to invest a lot of time in kind of inputting a lot of these data to you. And then finally, like, this is like a ever learning model, right? We have just started, and a lot of more and more data we get, more and more customers we get, we'll be able to create a slightly more personalized plan going forward. So the goal is to create a highly personalized plan for each users and help them reverse their type 2 and pre-diabetes. Yeah, thanks. Any questions?
So we don't see any questions on the chat. If there are no questions, just in the interest of time, I think we could move to the next presenter, Dr. Amit, Dr. Ami. Please let us know your thoughts.
So, Mr. Shivtosh, thank you for a wonderful presentation. I think this is the need of the hour. We need to kind of, sensitize our patients about the regular needs of monitoring and the lifestyle changes. So I guess, yes, good presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shivtosh, I just want to bring a point to everyone who is presenting here. And this is a general perception of medical community, that all these programs which are presented here and which are in development, which various companies are making, the doctor is just like a third party to it. It is not part of the ecosystem. So unless and until you make them part of the ecosystem, only few doctors on your panel and some of the doctors who are consulting all the patients, this model is not going to work out. This is what I believe. Because the number of the diabetes patients are so huge. You cannot have thousands of doctors on your panel. You cannot, this is something a big challenge. And the number of people with diabetes are in millions in India. and it is same all across the world, and they are rising very sharply. So unless and until you make the doctors part of the ecosystem, and so that they lead the care, and we define our own boundaries at what we are going to do as a platform, what we are going to do as a tech expert, but we bring into the ecosystem. So I think this is one suggestion where I think we all can work upon. And if this happens, then definitely you will see a huge surge in acceptance of these molecules. Let me just tell you, yesterday we had a European Diabetes Forum presentation, and they were talking about some apps. So now they have apps which are being prescribed by the doctors, and these are validated tools. So this is something called digital therapeutics. So if you want a prescription from a doctor of a digital tool, then it has to qualify as a digital therapeutics. And digital therapeutics is for everyone. Anybody can prescribe it. So not just a few doctors who are on a panel of somebody. So this is my opinion. Rest is all up to you what you feel. But this is I personally feel.
No, completely agree, doctor. Yeah, sorry. Completely agree, Dr. And that is where I started, right? That at the core of our product is a doctor and a coach. Our life is to make their life easier. We cannot say that we will prescribe medicine, right? Because doctor at the end of the day will have to do it. A coach will prescribe a nutrition. Where SugarFit comes is we create systems which helps doctor and coaches create a personalized plan for a user. So that is what the core is, a doctor and a coach, and around them is where we come into play. So you are very right. Like doctor has to be a core part of this.
Just I would like Dr. Amit to comment on this also. That is it right to use the word reverse diabetes everywhere? Reverse diabetes becomes a big terminology. So we are diabetologists. We are treating patients day in and day out. So reverse would be, getting under control or, reducing the dose of medicines would go as a right way. Reversing is a big terminology when we use it.
I think the reversal claim seems to be more attractive. That is why the terminology is used more and more. I think recovery is the right word. You can say that somebody has recovered from Dr. Navneet, I know you have many things to say that. Reversal can happen, but we need to place it at the right spectrum of the spectrum of the disease management. First, anyway, it is the recovery. Somebody who is coming with a very high HbA1c, he has to go into a recovery mode. Then there is a remission mode, whether he is able to maintain or not. And then comes the process of the reversal. At the same time, when you talk about the reversibility, I think it is the cellular reversibility. The ability of a cell to reverse from a permanent damage to a reversible phase. It is something more at the microscopic level which we are aiming at. If somebody reverses from a phase of fatty liver to a stage of non-fatty liver, I think that is a reversal for me. If somebody is at a risk of developing retinopathy and that patient ends up with resolution of the retina lesions, then that is a reversal for me. So I think everyone has a different perception, and Dr. Navneet wants to say something. Please, Dr. Navneet, go ahead.
Basically, the reversal is a very lucrative term. Otherwise, the term has been redefined that it is remission. As we use remission in the cancers, as we use remission, because we know that once the patient is maintaining this lifestyle, which has been advised by anyone, patient is in remission. Once he'll stop that lifestyle, again he'll have a diabetes. If he'll get, even after the remission of the bariatric surgery, basically the remission and reversal, they all come into play after the bariatric surgery. When we found that after the bariatric surgery, patient is now normoglycemic. But I have seen so many patients, and I'm sure you all must have seen so many patients, that the patients who are undergone bariatric surgery 4 or 5 years back, now again they are having a weight and they are at the same weight, and now they are diabetic and they are taking treatment. So remission is, I think, a more we can say apt word. And as Dr. Amit was rightly saying, that it is a metabolic remission or it is a pharmacological remission. So this has to be very precise.
And I think it is time now that we talk about the microscopic reversal also.
Yes.
We want to see whether it is happening at the organ level itself. It may not be having in totality, but even if we are able to reverse damage to any single organ of a person, it adds great value to the treatment.
Yes. And reversal and or remission, whatever you call it, it is not for all. Basically, we know that there are very, very selected patients for reversal or remission. Those who are like obese, insulin resistance, or like newly detected, or like a short duration of diabetes. And you need a very high motivation for these patients.
I think we hand it over to Tushar. We are running short of time, and it is already.
It is a long discussion.
Yes, Tushar, please over to you.
No. Thank you so much for all of your, words of advice. Really, a debate that's been, raging on for a long time, and definitely requires a larger forum for discussion. And on that note, I think we'd like to thank Shivtosh for the presentation and move to the next presenter, which happens to be Dr. Navneet as well from BITO. It's always been a pleasure hearing you, Doctor. So please, over to you. Just a quick time check. We'll, have to be more adherent on the 8-minute timeline, and in the interest of other startups also.
Sure.
Getting in the queue. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Tushar. So at the outset, I wish to thank the entire organizing team of DTechOn for organizing such a first virtual conference of technology in diabetes, and I must congratulate them and for inviting me and to discuss the technology in diabetes. So basically, we know that the technology is the fifth pillar, one of the main 5 pillars of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So the BITO, through its largest digital care ecosystem, is helping patients to manage and control their diabetes. If we see the journey of a diabetic patient, be symptomatic, be asymptomatic, when a patient is being diagnosed as a diabetic, the first phase is denial. Or sometimes like people go with the hearsay and they start treatment with the indigenous medicines or their homemade medicines, or like they just delay the diagnosis, they just delay to go to the consultants. So the denial, and then they go for like Google or WhatsApp, and maybe they're starting the treatment from their own. And many of the patients, they just don't like, even they start the treatment, they have a treatment interruptions, maybe because of the awareness, maybe because of the affordability. So even when they have been prescribed or they have consulted a doctor, they have started with the treatment, maybe in a month or 2 months, and when they come to the normal like fasting, PPG, and even the A1C come down, they stop the treatment and they say that now my diabetes is fine and I'm over, like I'm non-diabetic now. So there are many of times they have no scientific or like the proper knowledge or awareness. Second challenge in patient of diabetes is non-adherence. Patients started with like 2 times of oral antidiabetics or even with insulin therapy, they stop the treatment or they reduce the medication of their own. Many of times there may be financial constraint or the behavioral issues. And the follow-up is a major challenge because like we have seen the patient, those who are coming for the follow-up at 6 months, 1 year, with the A1C of same 8.4, 8.3. So the entire journey from the diagnosis to taking this 2-3 years, and finally the patients are having an A1C of 8.5. So that's why almost around 80% of the population is not yet controlled in India with the average A1C of 8.5. So the major challenges, the fundamental challenges of diabetes management in India are the accessibility, awareness, and affordability. When we talk of accessibility, 95% of the people with diabetes are in tier 2 cities and beyond. And these are the patients who has to travel to the cities or to the major towns to consult a diabetologist or an endocrinologist. That will include a workday loss and the cost of the traveling. Almost only 7% of the endocrinologists and diabetologists are in India are in the tier 2 cities and beyond. So only 8% Indians manage to treat their diabetes with a specialist. So just imagine the huge burden on a patient which is not getting access to a diabetologist or a specialist, to a physician. So like they are not getting a proper treatment. Then comes the role of awareness. We know that half of the patients of diabetes are still undiagnosed, and half of the patients, those who are diagnosed, only half of them are taking treatment, which we call it as the rule of 50. And 80% of Indians with diabetes in India have an average A1C of 8.5. And 70% Indians are unaware that diabetes can impact the other organs or it can cause the damage to the vital organs. And only 10% have even introduced the diabetes educators, so they don't know like what is the lifestyle management. And as far as the affordability is concerned, yes, we know that almost 70% of the population of India is in the rural population, and affordability is a major challenge because like they have to pay from their pocket for the consultation, for the investigation, for the medicines. So this is a huge burden on the family. And in fact, there is a data where it has been seen that the 25% of the monthly household income of a lower middle class is spent on the management of diabetes and its complications. So BITO has created a holistic ecosystem to bridge this gap in diabetes management. And how come? Like once a patient comes on the app, patient downloads the app, he get an access to the healthy lifestyle management. Like for the medical nutrition therapy, he can have an access like what amount of calories, what amount of carbs this particular food has, so that he can have his choices about the food intake. So this is for the medical nutrition therapy, and even he can get connected with a coach and can get an advice. So for the medical nutrition therapy, he can have a healthy choices about the diet. Then this app is being synchronized with the different, say like health apps or like the health fitness trackers, wherein he can monitor his physical activity. So and he can have an idea about the burning of the calories, how much calories he's burning, in a day. So he can have an access to the first pillar, that is the lifestyle management of type 2 diabetes. Then second challenge is the monitoring. So by just an affordable connected kit, he can do a monitoring at his home, and this monitoring, or like whatever his blood glucose values are there, they can be in the app, so he can see at any point of time, and he can see that to take medicine. So like this app has an access to the blood glucose reminders and the medicine reminders, so that it will improve the adherence and the compliance to the treatment which is being prescribed by the doctors. And then you have a caregiver alerts. So like if the patient is having extreme hypo or hyper, your loved ones or your consultants or your doctors will get an alert, so that they can manage properly early. Then you have the patient who's on the app can have an access to the entire data in the graphical form, in the day wise. He can access what is his fasting is going on and the PVs are going on, and then on the base of that he'll get an advice on the base of that your glucose is going low or is going down or it is going high. So what should be the ideal approach for the managing it at home with the help of a medical nutrition or the dietary intervention or the physical activity. But if there is any extreme hypos or even the patient wants to talk, he can ask for a call from the coach. So there is a proactive care wherein a nutrition or the certified diabetes educator is educating a patient, imparting awareness, imparting the proper knowledge about the diabetes, its complications, its management, and what should be the entire about the monitoring also. When it comes to the doctor involvement, as Dr. Amit was saying, I'll be discussing that on the next slide. So even a patient with the doctor connected app, so the doctor can see the extreme hypers or the presentation of all the monitoring in his dashboard at his hand, so that he can see that what is his patient is doing like. And of course, at the last but not the least, patient will have the access to the exclusive diabetes educators videos, the articles, so that he can have a proper awareness, proper information, and proper knowledge about his or her own diabetes. Because we know that diabetes education is the important pillar of managing type 2 diabetes in the long run. So what we have done so far, we have almost more than 4 lakh members on our this IoT monitoring program, and the retention for 1 year is almost more than 60%, and average time spent on the app is 10 minutes. Just imagine, so patients are giving 10 minutes average daily on the app, and this has impacted. The clinical impact of this is that we have seen a reduction of 1.9%, the average A1C in 3 months, 10% average drop in fasting blood glucose in 1 month, and the reduction in the hypoglycemic events by 52%. So it's not only managing the hyperglycemia, but it is also managing or preventing the hypoglycemia. So helping the patients to keep them in euglycemia to achieve the target A1C to prevent the complications. And we are not just restricted to the metro cities. We are not just restricted to the upper classes data. We have almost 70% of our members from the non-tier 1 class, and 55% patients are from the first time users of glucometer, and 83% users connected with diabetes. They connected with the educator for the first time. So just imagine, the 83% of this population has not even visited an educator or a certified diabetes coach. And this reduction in A1C is sustainable. If you see in patients, almost 28,000 plus patients, the average A1C or the mean A1C at the time of onboarding was 8.2, and it was sustained to 7.3 at the 2 years. In patients who are having A1C of more than 8, the average A1C was of 9.6, and this came down to 7.6 at 2 years, and it was sustained for that 2 years. So there is a sustainability of this intervention. And as Dr. Amit was saying, that we have to involve more and more doctors, because there are millions of patients and this population is growing. So we have a program, this Doctor Connect program, wherein the doctor who is treating, we are making a bridge, we are making a connection between a consultant diabetologist and his patients, so that whatever the patient is monitoring with that glucometer at their home, a doctor or the consultant diabetologist can see on this dashboard how his patient is doing. And this Doctor Connect program has improved almost 6 times higher in the monitoring, and the average daily, again, that patients are spending 10 minutes on that. And this has shown an 11% drop in the average fasting blood sugar at 1 month. So even a doctor who's connected with this patient, whatever the patient is monitoring, patient is seeing on the dashboard. And in this loop, there is an educator either from the doctor or from our end. So this educator is taking care of this entire loop, that it is giving, imparting a proper information and knowledge to the patient, and with the help of a doctor, so that the doctor and the coach and the patient are a closed loop system, and where they are helping the patient to manage his day-to-day like activities and the fasting blood glucose and post-prandial blood glucose. And this whatever like we have done, it has been published at length. So if we see this is the abstract from the ADA, where we have seen the 8.9% reduction in the PPGs, 9.3% reduction in the preprandials, the 9.5% reduction in the fasting blood glucose, and 6% reduction in the random blood sugars. So this is just with the help of this real-time feedback and counseling from our coaches, it has impacted the glycemic control. And this is the real-world data. It is not from a very clinical trial or a very say prospective trial. It is a real-world data. And same, this is again the real-world data where we see in the 45% reduction in the postprandial, almost around 40% reduction in the preprandial, 51% reduction in the fasting, and as well as the reduction in the hypos. And this is in the real world. So like in the almost 25,000 patients. So like these are the patients which are already using the app. They are already on the connected device. So they are having this impact. So this is the data from when the patients are using in their day-to-day management of diabetes. This is again where we have seen the 60% reduction in the hypoglycemic episode. So we are managing hyperglycemia. We are also preventing hypoglycemia. So ultimately providing a holistic approach, or we can say the euglycemic approach to the patient, those who are members on our B2 app. This was a poster which was in a publication like accepted in the ATD. Again, there was a 60% reduction in the blood glucose levels, average blood glucose levels, 81% reduction in the fasting hypoglycemic incidents, 72% and again in the pre-meal hypoglycemic incident. And this is in the data. And this was during the COVID-19 time, when the patients were at lockdown, patient in the home. They were getting a care from our coaches, from our educators, and they were managing their diabetes with the advice of our educators at their home only. This is the abstract which has been accepted in this DTACon, where we have seen that just by the educator, just by the one coach call, there is 12.45% increase in the frequency of monitoring. So that the patient is now more aware, patient is now doing more monitoring, and by which that we have just a reduction in the hypoglycemia in almost more than 3,000 patients. So this is the real data of 3,000 patients who are already using, and they have a reduction, almost 80% reduction in the hypoglycemic incidents after one coach call.
Dr.
And so we have impacted, yes,
I think
and this is just not like the patient, but if we get a feedback from the patient, we know that ultimately our patient are benefited, then only we can be happy. So this is just the feedbacks from the patients. And these are some awards where we have won the National Startup Award last year. And these are some collaborations. And so to summarize what I can say, that to bring the democracy in diabetes through the technology, and to make the India as diabetes care capital of the world, we can take the help of philosophy of Gandhiji, that is Sarvodaya through Antyodaya, which means the development of all through welfare of the weakest section of the society. So that is the aim of the B2, to achieve or to democratize the diabetes management, to take care of the patient, those who are having less accessible or less affordable, even in the outreach or the far areas of the country. So to provide the overall treatment to the overall population or the type 2 diabetic population of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very inspiring, Dr. Navneet. Do we have any questions from the faculty members? Or in the interest of time, we could move forward, given that we have we're running on slight delay here. So, Dr. Amit. Okay.
I think, Tushar, if there are no questions in the chat box, thank you, Dr. Agrawal, and I think we should be going ahead because we have too many to go.
Yeah. For the next presentation, I think for the PVR Med, we have Dr. Metelko's recording that has been shared with the RF event stream. So would request the team to share the recording for everyone's benefit. Yeah. Nishad, if you could have the meeting from, yeah. Thank you so much. Nishad, I'm afraid there's no audio.
Number of processes, including aging, as a jeopardizing integrity of the body as well as all organs, while only defense and reparation depends on proper nutrition through all sizes of blood vessels, hemorrhagic, and circulation. A number of negative changes, with or without chronic non-communicable diseases, are faced with appropriate circulation and characteristics of blood vessels, especially legs and feet. The aims were to test the positive influence of transcutaneous gas form of composite carbon dioxide on legs and feet blood vessels. The persons with diabetes mellitus with peripheral neuropathy or foot wounds was included in the study. The size of wound downsized faster compared to reference values. Statistical analysis were tested between the groups of patients. Skin temperature increases statistically significant. Vibrometer tests show better results, statistically significant, as well as monofilament tests, statistically significant. Magnetic resonance imaging showed that vasodilatation of blood vessels were, as well as number of collateral circulation increased as intermediate changes important to achieving clinical results. Based on Bohr effect, we recognize positive effect of carbon dioxide influence on tissues, healing, improving nerve velocity in particular, and other surrounding tissues through physiological pathways. Previously published data significantly showed improved changes. 90% shorter wound healing time declared data from IDF.
Nishad, if you could confirm this was the end of the video, we can move to the next presenter here.
Yes, sir, that's it.
Thank you so much for that. Next up, we have Gayatri from Arca Research. Over to you, Gayatri. Really looking forward to your presentation.
Hello, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to present our thing today. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Absolutely, we can see. And Gayatri would request you to, keep the presentation part of this for 7 minutes or lesser, so that we can have time for Q&A as well. Sure. Thank you so much.
Sure. So my name is Gayatri, and I'm the founder and CEO of Arca Research. We are developing non-invasive solutions for chronic disease monitoring and early detection. So I previously I have built a data analytics company, and before that, I did my master's in the US and basically an electrical engineer. So as you can have seen from all the presentations that are done by the startups today, or the majority of the diabetic solutions that are in the market, pretty much the journey starts once the symptoms has been identified, or at least the patient has this awareness that they have a need to go for a blood test. So, but these conditions actually take a good amount of time to develop. And currently the blood tests that includes HbA1c or fasting glucose or even random glucose tests and everything are actually only able to detect 2 years early in the pre-diabetes zone or something. So we have a good 4 to 7 years of window where you can actually detect this condition by the changes that are happening in your body, but then there are no tests that are available. When we say it's type 2 diabetes is a cluster of diseases that includes your hypertension and dyslipidemia and also any microvascular complications that are happening. And we hope to detect patients at this stage and give them a warning before this actually becomes clinically significant. In India, we all have this feeling that only our neighbor is going to be type 2 diabetes, not us. So we want to create that warning signals, not by a carrot, probably by a stick method. So it's a completely non-invasive technology. So we take a 1-minute video of the user's face using an FDA-approved thermal camera. We have built using AI different models of computer vision and machine learning to process these videos, extract biosignals that are representative of your blood flow, in your superficial temporal artery. So at a very fundamental level, the algorithm works on the principle of having, I actually can play the video. We are actually looking for the hemostatic imbalances that are happening in the body because of these metabolic changes in the early stage of type 2 diabetes and hypertension. As you can see, the two boxes that are happening on the forehead are where you are seeing the blood flow happening. We have the correlation that has been done with carotid ultrasound to map our blood flow parameters to the clinically approved methods currently. So the report is real time. Almost like once we upload the video onto the platform, within 5 minutes, the user directly gets a report. It will be displayed on a 0 to 10 scale, 0 being normal, 10 being high. Currently, a clinical correlation is actually happening if anyone who is having 6 on our scale can walk into a diagnostic center, and with a 92% guarantee, we can say that they are in the pre-diabetes zone. So 0 to 6 is where we are actually asking people to take precautions or make some dietary changes or the lifestyle changes. The fact this is completely non-invasive should encourage people to go for this test more often than not, because almost all the time we don't go for the test because we have a fear of a doctor or we have fear of needles. So again, when the person walks into a screening center, we take some data like regarding their details like email ID, phone number, date of birth, etc. We take a 1-minute video, we upload it into the software, and within 2 minutes, the report will be generated and sent to them. So the entire process takes about 5 to 7 minutes. So it can be done like anywhere, as long as it is an indoors space and have a temperature control sort of a scenario. Currently, we have completed a clinical trial for about 500 people with gold standards of OGTT, systolic BP, and the lipid panel. And we have also done a comparison with the principal investigators' assessment, risk assessment. And as you can see, the variation of range is actually quite good, like 21 to 65 years, with an average age of 39. The beauty here is when we have done this clinical trial, our understanding is to just measure like whether this can be a screening technology, but then the early detection came in once we have done the clinical trial, completed the clinical trial. The sensitivity and specificities are actually at a clinically acceptable level, and we also have a good ROC curve where we are not actually missing majority of the people who are, when we say they are in the diabetes zone, we are saying with a good confidence of like 92% that they are. Again, currently this is a preventive healthcare solution working as a wellness in the wellness space. A lot of these calculators are there, but then they're all population-driven models, whereas we are actually providing this personalized diagnosis and looking at your body changes that are actually happening before they become clinically significant. So the opportunity of people, the opportunity that people are getting because of this is you are giving them opportunity to prevent or at least delay the condition getting by making these changes early on. So like I said, this is a warning sort of a signal that looking at you alone. So we have the compliances in place to conduct business here in India. We have been approved by CDSUO. We are SOC2 certified. We are HIPAA compliant. And we also have ISO 13485 and 27001 done. We have also been recognized as top 20 diabetic diseases by Diabetic Research Center by University of Bern in Switzerland. And we have also been identified for finalists for Commonwealth Center for Digital Health, and the competition is still going on. And I think the next steps for us is to actually make this more compatible and provide this as a B2C solution as well. Currently, we are operating only in the B2B and wellness space. We hope this can be a point of care solution with the doctors. Just one point to add from the clinical trial, our results has been reviewed by a doctor panel of 35 members from 10 different cities in India, from four different disciplines, and they have reviewed the results and they have given us the testimonials that this can be a really good point of care solution as well. Just like any, once a person walks into a doctor's office, just like they are taking BP, we expect them to take this video and identify and take the clinical process from there on. One clearly point that we want to highlight is this is not a replacement for any blood tests that are there in the market currently, and also this is not a replacement or a suggestion a replacement for suggestions or the diagnosis done by the doctor. This is more of a warning signal working in the pre-diagnosis space. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm open for questions.
Wonderful. This is very interesting work, Gayatri. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you.
Do our doctor members have any questions they would love to understand more about? So, if not, I think we can move to the next presenter. Would like to thank Gayatri again. Very interesting. Would love to follow the work you're doing.
Sure.
Next up, we have Simon from Jade Diabetes. If you could take control, Simon. What do you? Dr. Amit or Dr. Ami, could we confirm whether Simon would be able to join us? Okay, so just in the interest of time, I think we can move to the next participant. We have we're in touch with Simon, and we'll check whether they'll be able to whether Jade would be able to present. Next up, we have Khushbu from Xyla. So Khushbu, if you could take charge of the screen and walk us through your work, would be really interesting.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Hi. So this is Dr. Akanksha. I'm presenting on behalf of Xyla.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Akansha. The correction has been noted. Please move ahead.
Yeah. Just let me present my screen. Is my screen visible to everyone?
So I think we see a blank screen, but I'm not sure if we see any slides at the moment. And someone could corroborate that.
Sorry. Are you able to view the screen now?
Yeah, we can, Dr. Akansha. Over to you. Thank you so much. Just a quick reminder, would be great if we could conclude this in 7 minutes or less in the interest of thank you again.
So hi everyone, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here. And my name is Dr. Akanksha. I head the clinical affairs at Xyla. I come from a medical background, and after that I've first completed a master's in business administration. Currently heading clinical affairs at Xyla. So Xyla Health is a platform which works for condition management in chronic diseases. We're trying to create a personal health expert for everyone in the ecosystem, which is more focused on the patients, with the help of the most important segment, which is the doctors. And then for sure, we're adding technology and trying to make it accessible and trying to make it as accurate as possible. I'm just going to be speaking about a couple of outcomes that we have been able to achieve with the Defeating Diabetes program at Xyla Health. So the burden of disease, as all of us know, is pretty high. Around 463 million people in the world are living with diabetes at the time, and out of which 72.9 million people are from India. Why is this so difficult? Why is diabetes management the need of the hour and something which requires holistic and integrated approach with technology? So I think one of the biggest barriers for diabetes that we believe at Xyla is that a lot of patients are not very aware about the best treatment approach and are not connecting to the best experts in the field of healthcare. Although the expenditure for the treatment of this disease, the burden is quite high. So the feeding diabetes program at Xyla is at point using 3 integrated approaches, wherein we are using diabetes nutrition, Ayurveda, physiotherapy, and diabetes yoga, and definitely the medical part, which is covered by the medical professionals, the medicine prescription guidance under senior doctors. So it follows the 6-step approach, the integrated program for diabetes management, wherein there is a structured assessment and training which is given to the patient to use the platform, and also to assess the condition of the patient at the present point of using this entire program. Then we move on to have a structured self-management, glucose management technique, which is given to the patient under the guidance of a supervised medical professional. We have proper documentation of the clinical information. We have an analysis which gives the different results as the patient progresses throughout the journey of the treatment. We have personal joint decisions on personalized strategies that we're using at Xyla. And then we have to end the program with the outcome and the effectiveness of the holistic approach that we utilize in this program. So just to add up, Xyla is 24/7 accessible app. We at this point are serving more than 2 lakh plus patients in the country, present in around 1,500 plus doctors, 10 plus support languages. We are rated as one of the best health apps with a 4.8 plus rating and a high NPS score as well. So moving on, we had a study which was carried out for a period of 1 year on around 5,192 patients that have been, taking this program for a period of 1 year, and out of which 62% were male, 38% were women. Different regions of the country like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai. Age groups between 51 to 65, 45%, and 35% for 36 to 50 years old. The key biomarker to assess the outcome was the HbA1c level. Different types of clinical notes, clinical documentation were collected, and also the vitals were collected to reach the outcome of this entire study. First outcome that we have been able to achieve was that there has been a drop of 8.64% in the HbA1c level of the users on an average, and this has been the key biomarker used in the study, followed by 2.03% drop in the blood pressure levels, systolic blood pressure, and 2.35% drop in the diastolic blood pressure of the patients. And the next outcomes were the weight reduction, comorbidities management, wherein there was a 2.34% drop, average drop in every user in terms of weight, and then other comorbidities like overweight, being obesity, hypertension, hypothyroidism, etc., were also managed. And the top symptoms that we observed during the study was gastric symptoms, neuropathic symptoms, and body pain, which were also significantly managed in this holistic lifestyle modification approach. So out of these 5,000 patients, only 4% of them developed any cardiac complications post-enrollment, while the incidence rate for neuropathy, nephropathy, and retinopathy was 0. So that's all from my end. Open to questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akansha. Do we have any questions from the faculty, ma'am? Dr. Ami, if we have no questions.
Yeah, I think, Tushar, we go ahead since we do not have any questions.
Yeah. Thank you again, Dr. Akansha. As the next presenter, we have Dr. Ruchir Mehra, who heads Remido. So over to you, Dr. Ruchir. Would love for you to take over from here.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I'll just do a screen share quickly. Hi, can you see this?
Yes, doctor. You want to go into presentation mode if that works? But, we do see the Adobe screen for sure. Yeah.
No, I think there's some problem. Sorry, it just gets paused.
No,
it's okay. I'll leave it here.
You can go forward. Yeah.
Sorry. So I'll try to keep time. So we are a little different. So, with respect to our key offering. So my name is Dr. Ruchir Mehra. I am an MBBS from Maulana Azad Medical College. Did my MBA from IIM Lucknow. Worked in Accenture Consulting for 4 years. And then for 5 years, I was in Fortis Healthcare, the hospital chain. After which I quit to start Remido along with 2 other founders. Our vision really is to help doctors provide better care to patients using technology. Especially in a world that is fast changing with respect to the patient really changing, especially in the last 2 years, we've seen that. The fact that patients are coming online. Everybody has a supercomputer with high-speed internet in their pocket. And doctors know that, I need to improve my online presence. But today I'm probably dependent on aggregators like Practo, or of course, agencies that help me with the website or with SEO, etc. In fact, our research shows that 75% doctors actually don't even have a Google business page. So what Remido does is kind of what has happened and played out in other industries. That is what a large company like Shopify has done, which is the opposite of what, say, an Amazon does, or what a DotPay has done, which is the opposite of what Zomato and Swiggy do, which is helping doctors build their own online presence as opposed to being dependent on aggregators. So what we actually do is we help doctors with their independent online presence where they can build their own brand online. We do this through by connecting with the doctor's Google business page. We are a Google partner and part of the Google Accelerator program, so we have access to their APIs. So we optimize the profile. We create a website which is a personal website for the doctor where I can post blogs and patients can read about me and actually reach out and book an appointment. We also have an AI-powered chatbot which understands patient intent and helps answer patient queries. So if a patient is messaging me at 10 o'clock in the night, or say if I'm in a procedure, it will help me answer those queries and actually convert queries into appointments if the patient wants that. This chatbot incidentally won Google's award last year. The only healthcare company globally that won. So think of it as my independent online presence. Now this syncs with the Remido app, which obviously provide me tools to manage and engage patients. And patient management, of course, is about things like telemedicine or medical records and appointment billing, etc. But for us, the key piece really has been care plans so that I can engage my patient, care plans for chronic, semi-chronic conditions. Or to put it differently, it's a doctor-driven digital therapeutic. That is, how do I stay connected with my patient? Because as a doctor, I get limited time with the patient. How do I influence sustainable lifestyle modification in the 8-10 minutes that I'm going to get today, and then 8-10 minutes that I'm going to get after a month? So that is, and I'll just talk about that in the next few slides. The third piece is more about converting patient engagement into online reputation management. So, doctors typically face a particular problem that, we're not like an Uber driver that we'll say, please give me a 5-star rating, right? But at the same time, what a past patient has written is very important for a new patient to really read and understand about. So Remido converts patient engagement, patient satisfaction into online reputation management using WhatsApp as a tool. That is, how do we nudge a happy patient to actually leave a review? Because the typical problem with doctors is that the patient who's unhappy goes online and leaves reviews, and those who are happy don't. But right now, I'll just focus the rest of these slides on really the engagement piece, which is focused on care plans. Here, our vision really is a little bit like what Dr. Akanksha highlighted on being a combination of medical and wellness aspects of care. That is, not to create a parallel B2C product, but really augment what the doctor is doing, so that because as a doctor, I want to provide better counseling to my patient, but I know that I can't influence their day-to-day behavior change. So that's really where Remido's product comes in the engagement piece. That is, I can put a patient on a care plan, and then the patient will receive videos, images in English, Hindi, so that they understand their condition. They make changes to their lifestyle, exercise, diet. They get reminded about the medicines I may have prescribed. They can track the relevant health parameters, share it back, with me. And most of this is really done through WhatsApp, actually. So because we believe WhatsApp is universal. The patient is always on WhatsApp. So a lot of the content, a lot of the actions that we ask them to do for sustainable lifestyle changes, or we even have health coaches who are like dietitians, etc., who can answer a few basic questions, all happening over WhatsApp. Similarly, patient, how do we improve compliance to what the doctor had prescribed? Also done through WhatsApp, so that they get reminded about their medicine intake, etc. And in fact, straight away from WhatsApp, they can book a repeat appointment for me. The third thing we are rolling out right now is really a community, again over WhatsApp. Think of it like support groups, so that patients can interact with other patients who have the similar condition. So that's pretty much the product and the value offering for doctors. Today, we are focused on women's health, especially PCOS, infertility, endometriosis, and of course pregnancy, which are chronic, semi-chronic conditions in women's health. But we are right now working on obviously the more common chronic conditions, which is hypertension, diabetes, obesity, or osteoarthritis, etc. Really, the vision for us is how do in the next 3-4 years, doctor practices are going to use technology a lot more than they have used, say, 3-4 years back. And our vision is that doctors who provide better care to their patients also see a growth in their own practice. That's actually what really Remido is about, and that's what we're doing. There are about 6,000 using doctors across India on Remido, and yeah, that's a little bit about us. I hope I made time, Tushar.
Yeah, absolutely well within. So thank you again for that, Dr. Ruchir. I would love to see if the panel and faculty members would have any questions.
Dr. Ruchir, a small query here. So when you have 6,000 patients, doctors on board who are using all this for you, so you expect all of our patients to download this app?
No, it's deliberately, Dr. Amit, mostly done over WhatsApp, because typically, what we've seen is, so there are actually two types of patients, right? One, those who are on the care plan, and those who are not. Those who are, just generally interacting with me may not necessarily have a chronic condition as such. So, we don't expect those non-care plan patients to ever download an app. Frank, why would I download an app? The patients who are on care plan, while a lot of the care plan is delivered over WhatsApp, some of it, for the best experience, we do hope that they also download the app. So it's a little bit of a hybrid approach.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Dr. Ruchir.
Yeah, Tushar, we can go ahead. Yeah.
Definitely. Next up, we have Dr. Venkatesh Shivane from Aquatic Remedies. So Dr. Venkatesh, you could take over. Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Tushar, and thank you, Ami, and thank you, Dr. Amit, for inviting me to speak today on something novel, which is first time in India, which is getting published in treatment of type 2 diabetes. And it is last week published article, which I'm going to show you the results. This is something exciting, something new, and it requires further validation through clinical research. But I'm going to show you whatever the work we have done. This is a airborne, low frequency, multi-frequency, non-contact ultrasound in type 2 diabetes management, a novel treatment strategy. So what is something which is required, ladies and gentlemen, to just go in quick of the physics, that ultrasound is a mechanical compression of the wave produced from a piezoceramic crystal that has a frequency above the human hearing range, and it has the effects depends on the frequency as well as intensity. So there is a high intensity, there is a low intensity. We know high intensity ultrasound is being commonly used in cancers, in malignancies, in ablation of thyroid, parathyroid, or liver malignancies, or some of the bone malignancies, including varicosities of the veins. The low intensity ultrasound is used being hyperthermia. What is we need to know about is there are two effects of low intensity ultrasound, that is thermal as well as non-thermal. The non-thermal effect first is sonophoresis, which is the movement of the drug molecules across the skin. Sonoporation is the formation of small pores in the cell membrane through which by using ultrasound, there is a transfer of nucleic acid material into the cell, and ultimately the drug gets completely embedded in the cell. The last one of the important effect of low intensity ultrasound is the acoustic streaming, which is defined as the physical forces of the sound waves that are driving the force capable of displacing the ions and small molecules. So there is a cavitation formation and collapse and gas bubble formations. And as we know, as I have told you, there are various indications for which ultrasound is used. The first of such kind of instrument was used by postgraduate PGI Chandigarh with my senior colleague Dr. Anil Bansali and Ashu Rastogi. They used it in non-healing diabetic ulcers, and they have seen that when you give this ultrasound to such ulcers, the recovery time or the wound healing time is reduced compared to the sham control. Now, what we thought of that, the airborne ultrasound effects, it may help in role, it will increase the cell permeability and it will improve the potential action of the drugs. So first, we did the animal studies with National Institution of Reproduction and Research in NIRH, Mumbai. We have shown that there is no animal toxicity or genotoxicity which has been seen with this ultrasound over a period of 28 days for 10 minutes of ultrasound per day for 28 days, or even 60 minutes of ultrasound per day. And we have not seen any DNA damage, as you can see in the slides. So with what we did, this study, what we have done is effect of airborne low intensity multi-frequency ultrasound on glycemic control, lipid profile, markers of inflammation in patients with uncontrolled type 2 diabetes. It was a proof of concept. That is a pilot study, randomized, double-blind, and placebo control. So such type of equipment which was used, which is having a airborne low-intensity multi-frequency ultrasound, which emits the energy of 20 kilohertz to 65 kilohertz. That's very low, and it works on the frequency of multiple frequency ultrasound principle. That is the principle. It has a non-invasive treatment of diabetes, especially in improving. That was something what we have thought, that it may improve the absorption, distribution, metabolism, and elimination of the drugs, as well as improving beta cell function in type 2 diabetes. So there were 3 centers which have been selected, 2 of Mumbai, which is Dadar and Worli, and Pune. Ethics committee approval was taken. The trial was registered with clinical trial registry in India, and the patients were recruited in the year 2019. A written informed consent was opted from all the patients. Uncontrolled type 2 diabetes patients who are aging 18 years to 70 years, who are on stable oral hypoglycemic drugs for a duration of more than 3 months were selected. And definitely the patients who are having chronic cardiovascular events were selected, but acute complications, acute micro or macrovascular complications of diabetes and other systemic illnesses like kidney failure or hepatitis, or maybe a pregnant lady, were excluded from the study. The patients were randomized into 2 groups. Group A, which was called as Olympus, and Group B was placebo. The patient has to visit the site every alternate day for 45 sittings. And during each sitting, they were exposed to 10 minutes of low frequency ultrasound, which was emitted by Olympus device or placebo. The oral hypoglycemic agents, that the drug of the patients, were continued, and dietary lifestyle changes were advised to the patients. Now, for this ultrasound, patient was advised to sit 5 minutes away, because it was acoustic streaming. So they can definitely, the range was decided as 5 feet away from the equipment for Olympus, and similar type of equipment was used for placebo. And you can see that this patient, he's taking the ultrasound waves with Olympus. The efficacy parameters were judged by fasting as well as postprandial blood sugar on monthly basis and HbA1c. The anthropometric parameters like body mass index, total body water, lean body mass were calculated by bioelectrical impedance machine. HOMA IR was calculated, body metabolism rate was on calculation basis. The other parameters like lipid profile, biomarkers, which were insulin, C-reactive protein, adiponectin, homocysteine, tumor necrosis factor, and interleukin-6 were evaluated. And quality of life of this questionnaire was taken. The safety parameters were definitely the vital assessment, including heart rate, electrocardiogram, respiratory changes or blood pressure changes, and other safety investigations like liver function test, kidney function tests were done. A statistical analysis was performed using SPSS version 25.0. We have screened total 186 patients, out of which 116 patients were randomized, 57 in Alamfis arm and 59 in the other arm. The rest of the 70 patients were screen failure because they were not meeting, either they were not meeting the criteria or they refused to continuation up in the study. There were 5 dropouts in Alimfus group and there were 8 dropouts in placebo group. So total 52 patients completed with Alimfus, and placebo 51 patients were completed. You can see that the baseline parameters, including the age of the patients, the duration, the fasting blood sugar, the HbA1c were fairly comparable. However, at baseline, the total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol was slightly high in Alimfus group, and adiponectin and insulin levels were low in Alimfus group. So at the end of the study, we have noticed that there is a reduction in fasting as well as postprandial blood sugar in overall Alimfus group. When we sub-analyze these patients with categorizing them with a HbA1c more than 8, we have got the statistically significant reduction in fasting as well as post-lunch blood sugar. What we have noticed at the end of the study, that the HbA1c in Alimfus group was reduced by 0.77% compared to closer to 0.47% in placebo group, albeit the intergroup difference was not statistically significant. When we talk about the cholesterol parameters, the total cholesterol was significantly reduced compared to baseline in Alimfus group. Significantly reduced, the LDL cholesterol, so-called as bad cholesterol, significantly reduced in Alimfus group. The markers of inflammation were fairly improved, and that was surprising for us, that the insulin, the mean insulin level at the end of study with Alimfus group was statistically significantly elevated. The marker of inflammation, CRP, was significantly reduced with Alimfus. The homocysteine levels were reduced with Alimfus, and the adiponectin levels were elevated with Alimfus. And other parameters like leptin, we have not seen any change, but vitamin D surprisingly was elevated with Alimfus group. The rest of the anthropometric parameters have not shown any significant changes at the end of study between the two groups. However, the quality of life, the non-significant trend was noted towards physical endurance improvement score with Alimfus. Of course, there were certain adverse events, 27 in Alimfus group and 31 in placebo group. There were 2 serious adverse events. One was urinary tract infection and other was lower respiratory tract infection, but both were not related to the study drugs. And rest of the safety parameters like liver function test, CBC, ESR, and renal function tests were normal. So with Alimfus group, HbA1c was significantly reduced by 0.77%. However, insulin levels were increased from baseline. There was a significant reduction in fasting as well as postprandial blood glucose, and there was a trend towards lowering of HbA1c in Alimfus group compared to placebo. This was achieved without significant hypoglycemia, weight gain, or any other procedure-related side effects. And this HbA1c reduction, we can compare with maybe other drugs which are used in type 2 diabetes like DPP-4 inhibitor or SGLT2 inhibitors or alpha glucosidase inhibitors. As a monotherapy, our efficacy was shown to be comparable. The possible mechanism of improvement of glycemic control could be insulin release by beta cells after ultrasound therapy and enhancing the uptake and action of ongoing oral hypoglycemic agents. Further, ultrasound therapy may play a role in improving insulin resistance and in a reduction of glucagon as well as gluconeogenesis, as a clinical study, pilot study, which was done in Ukraine on 30 patients. Compared to placebo, the difference was not significant. However, even in placebo group, the HbA1c was reduced. This was because of multiple visits to the site and proper counseling by the doctors to the patients. Nonetheless, HbA1c in Alimfus arm was numerically more significant compared to the placebo. Greater number of patients in Alimfus group achieved HbA1c below 7%, which was desired as target. As I have told you earlier, that total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol were significantly decreased in Alimfus group. The mechanism of this change is unclear because this was a pilot study. However, there is a similar study done overseas in Europe. They have shown that in centrally obese women, ultrasound lipolysis was associated with improvement in abdominal fat and blood cholesterol levels. However, in our study, we have not seen any improvement in abdominal fat, especially in females. Similarly, there was a homocysteine and CRP decreased and adiponectin were improved after treatment. So markers of inflammation were fairly improved and there was an improvement in insulin resistance. So in conclusion,
Dr. Shivane,
last slide. This is in conclusion, Alumphys could be the novel technology in diabetes management for the patients who are unable to achieve glycemic targets on combination therapy of oral hypoglycemic agents. It has shown modest, non-significant reduction in HbA1c, quality of life score, markers of inflammation compared to placebo, significant improvement on lipid profile, fasting and post-lunch blood sugar, especially in the subgroup who is poorly controlled with HbA1c more than 8. However, we need further exploratory long-term studies and it requires to demonstrate its exact role as an add-on therapy in type 2 diabetes management. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shivani.
It will be my pleasure to say a few words about him. He's Professor in Medicine.
Thank you, Dr. Venkatesh. I think it was a very promising presentation. Though, as you mentioned, we need more data, more studies, more people to be involved in this to understand. Just a query, since you said that it helps the beta cells to produce more insulin, so you feel that it should be used in the early stages of diabetes, or it can be used patients who are in longer duration of diabetes also?
Well, I think, Ami, it's a very nice question. We need to evaluate across various stages of diabetes. What we have taken that we have taken poorly controlled patients who are on combination therapy of type 2 diabetes initially because it was a pilot study. The CGM study with the same equipment are ongoing and maybe in a couple of months that data will be also available. I think that should help to put the exact picture and exact role of this molecule or this equipment, where to put it, whether as a in early stages of diabetes or maybe people who are already on oral hypoglycemic agents like sulfonylurea or metformin. So we need some more data, and I think maybe over a period of time we'll be able to answer that question.
Venkatesh, Rakesh.
Yeah, Rakesh.
Yeah, congratulations for your presentation. It was very good.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I had to shuffle it between the other halls because the orations are going on in the other hall. Congratulations for your publication. This paper has been published already in the reputed journal.
Yeah.
And we look forward to further follow-up research on this particular topic.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh, for giving me opportunity.
Thank you for coming on 11th hour. I invited you, I guess, just a week back. You agreed to come, and that's I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tushar, and thank you, Rakesh. Thank you, Ami, as well. Thank you.
Really appreciate this. Thank you, Dr. Shivani.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Dr. Deval Karya from Open Medal. I see you're already in the presentation mode, so please go ahead, Dr. Deval, and take charge. I think you're on mute, Deval.
Yeah, am I audible now?
We can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, I'll just share my screen.
Yeah. Just if we could keep the presentation part of this to 7 minutes or lesser, that will be really helpful.
Sure. Is my screen visible?
Not yet. We can see the screen now. Please go ahead.
Okay, so thank you for having me here, and thank you to Dr. Rakesh for inviting us to present our work. I am Deval Karya from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, part of the department of CPDM, where we work on affordable medical devices. And our presentation today is on an affordable open-loop insulin pump for type 1 diabetic patients in resource-constrained settings. So Dr. Manish Arora and I are the co-founders of the product, and we've been working on it since the last 3-4 years. And over the last couple of years, we've received support from BIRAC to take our project forward as a startup. And we've set up partnerships with Vinyas Innovative Technologies, also MSME that works on medical devices and manufacturing of medical devices. And we have set up a small team that includes a regulatory lead and our electronics lead. So I think everyone is obviously aware of what type 1 diabetes is, and it's basically a condition where insulin is required to sustain life. However, coming to the core problem in the Indian scenario is that most insulin pumps are unaffordable for patients. They cost roughly 2 to 2.5 lakhs, and that makes them out of reach for most patients, because that's roughly the 5 to 7 times the median income of a family. So our goal is to bring down the cost of such an insulin pump so that it is accessible to a large portion of patients in the Indian scenario. So right now, there are a total of roughly 2.3 lakh T1DM patients in India, and only less than 2% are on insulin pumps. This is in contrast to Western markets where on an average between 15 to 35% are on insulin pumps. So a large part of this can be attributed to the cost of such a device, both recurring and fixed costs. The other larger market that is present, which can also benefit from insulin pumps, is the type 2 diabetes market that has high insulin resistance, and because of high insulin resistance, insulin pumps can benefit them as well. Now, coming to what makes current devices so expensive. So most devices right now work on the syringe pump principle. This is similar to any syringe pump device that you find in hospitals, just that this is miniaturized so that the patient can carry the device themselves. However, as part of miniaturization, they make use of something known as a micro motion set, which basically is a very small motor and a gearbox, and that roughly costs more than 1 lakh, and that adds to the primary cost of a device. Our patent pending mechanism basically allows for a acceptable compromise in the size of the device, and that brings down the cost by distributing the speed reduction that we require into multiple stages. So basically, we allow for some size increase. We don't go with high-end miniaturization, but at the same time, we are able to meet all the clinical requirements of the device. We have also attempted to make it compatible with the open API system so that patients can use the device in a closed loop along with a CGM sensor. So far, we've followed industry standard design documentation, and we have our ISO 13485 setup is underway. We have undertaken comprehensive risk analysis and risk management as well. Our results of the accuracy testing of the device were recently reported in the ATTD conference. And as you can see, they are compatible to the Medtronic insulin pump, and both in terms of basal as well as bolus. These are some photographs of our device prototype. This is a comparison of our insulin pump with the Medtronic 530G, which is one of the few pumps available in the Indian market. Currently, we are aiming for a prototype BOM cost of 40,000 rupees. Please keep in mind, this is a BOM cost, not the actual selling price, so it may increase from this point. We are also trying to make this device compatible with an open API system so that patients can use the device in a closed loop. And our key proposition for the patients is roughly a 70% reduction in fixed costs. Currently, Medtronic MiniMed is the only player in the Indian market. And compared to the Western markets, where there are at least 7 other major players, the high cost of insulin pumps is expected to hamper growth even in these markets. So the need for an affordable insulin pump is not just relevant to India, but also in Western markets where adoption is stagnated because of the high cost of adoption. So particularly in the Indian scenario, the increased awareness, the rising number of patients, and lack of options for the patients are the primary drivers for adoption of insulin pumps. Clinically acceptable delivery accuracy at a fraction of the cost of other commercially available devices is the core USP of our system. Our target customers are T1DM patients in India to begin with, and then T2DM patients that suffer from significant insulin resistance. We also, as I mentioned, want to make it compatible with open APIs, and this has been validated. This requirement has been validated by interactions with multiple stakeholders within the system who are keen on finding an affordable solution that can work with their CGMs and open APIs algorithms. We are also attempting to make the pump design catering specifically to Indian patients in terms of having local language support and remote controls for discrete delivery because of the taboo associated with the disease. At this point, we would like to reiterate the need we are trying to attempt. A clinically relevant treatment is inaccessible for patients because they are unable to afford it. And this is what we are attempting to address. Thank you for your time. We have additional data and slides available for any discussions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deval. Very inspiring and interesting. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Do we have any questions from the panel and faculty members?
Yeah, Tushar, if I can Tushar,
go ahead.
Dr. Rakesh.
Dr. Rakesh.
Yeah. So Deval, congratulations to you first for thinking of working on this particular aspect, because insulin pumps are actually beyond imagination for majority of Indian patients, and
Yes.
you are at least working on that. I'm just keen to understand what is this stage right now. Where have you reached? Is it a prototype only? And are there any hurdles? Like, are you lacking funds? Are you looking mentorship, or what is the status right now of the project?
So currently, we've received support from BIRAC via the big grant, and we've been working on developing our prototype. So one of the earlier hurdles that we were facing was adherence to these international standards in terms of safety and essential performance. So we are at the stage where we have been able to address those standards, and we have an animal trial planned towards the end of this year to establish confidence, although it's not required, but to establish confidence in the device, we have an animal trial planned. So we have support up till then, but we are looking to raise further grants or apply to further grants to continue our work. So we do have a fully functional prototype ready that we have tested in terms of accuracy, and we also have the prototype that is conforming to all these international standards and support for the animal trial. But yes, beyond that, we are looking to raise some grants and funds to continue our work.
And secondly, in insulin pumps, the cost of insulin pump is one issue. The other issue is the disposables are also very costly.
Yes,
the massive cost is very high. So are you looking at that also, or doing something for that?
At the moment, we are using Medtronic infusion sets because those are the only ones available in the Indian market. But a pump, in that sense, is modular. It can be compatible with any infusion set as long as we are able to find an affordable one. So we are in talks with companies like Convatec and other companies that manufacture infusion sets. But we are open to talking to these companies so that indigenous infusion sets can also be made that can bring down the overall recurring costs as well.
So just want to tell you that this DTEC is a group which actually is formed with this goal itself, that we should help the startups who come up with some innovative solutions for Indian people. In case you need any help, just feel free to reach out to DTEC.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank
yes.
you.
I will reach out to you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We can move to the next presenter. We have Mehak Malik from UV Health. So over to you, Mehak. Really look forward to your presentation.
Thanks, Tushar, for having me. Hi, everyone. So I'm Mehak, and I'm building UV Health, which is a women's health platform focusing on sexual and reproductive wellness of women. So just to talk about the problem in brief, we have about 350 million women in India who are in the reproductive age group. And when it comes to seeking care, they undergo many challenges. One is lack of awareness about the symptoms and treatment options, which make them unsure. Second is the stigma associated with seeking care for such concerns, which basically requires that they want something that is discreet and confidential. With respect to certain disorders, there's also trust deficit because of certain patient philosophy and doctor philosophy differences around treatment, such as not wanting to use any hormonal medication or such methods of treatment. In terms of overall outcomes, we see that over 70% women are leading unhealthy lives. 150 million women suffer from some form of reproductive, sexual, or hormonal health disorder. And Indian women are menopausing 5 years earlier than their global counterparts. And about 27.5 million couples struggle from infertility. So also, like, more and more women are now getting access to the internet, which basically means that they are looking for answers online. They also have more disposable incomes, which is also, and COVID, in fact, has made it very palpable for them to seek virtual care. There's also like an unprecedented increase in Google search trends for different disorders, as mentioned here: PCOS, thyroid, menopause, sexual concerns, life stages like pregnancy, postnatal. And there is a breakthrough increase in local language searches because many of these women are in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and they are looking for more contextualized content as well. So this is sort of a typical patient's journey and where it breaks down, right? Most patients would go to a GP or a specialist to get diagnosed. And once they get diagnosed, their treatment is very prescription-led. They typically don't follow the doctor recommended follow-up cycle and would only go like to the doctor when there is a real emergency or need, and which basically means like long follow-up cycles and continuous prescription-driven care in which the condition sort of deteriorates with time. And also on average, because of the doctor-patient ratio we have in India and stuff like that, there is not enough time during the consultation itself to counsel the patient and tell them about everything they need, to manage their condition holistically. So a typical patient would suffer from, a typical patient would struggle with, what do I need to do to, maintain a healthy lifestyle? Which symptoms should I be tracking? Which biomarkers should I be testing, and how frequently? They don't have any emotional support around their concern, and there's no single port of access that they can turn to. So this is where the UV's UV model comes into play, where we are trying to build a continuum of care between those point-to-point visits that patients do. Here we are building a platform where we give them access to coach-led fitness and nutrition counseling, personalized symptom tracking through our app, access to top-rated doctors and specialists, a care manager who can sort of triage or help or guide them towards the right set of expert, or help them in the form of giving an emotional support. We are also partnering with the labs to give them access to at-home lab testing services, and then a virtual support community, all of which sort of comes together to ensure that the patient is on top of their condition, throughout, instead of just only, when their symptoms get worse. And our entire model is digitally driven, which basically enables us to, personalize the user experience and enable them to track on the go. So we actually launched 4 months back. We went live with our app for PCOS and PCOD, which is our first areas of focus in terms of disorders. We're already ranking #1 on Play Store in India. We have over 20,000 installs, 13,000 platform users, and 1,100 plus subscribers. We're trying to bring like-minded brands as well as partners to kind of build a cohesive patient journey. So a little bit about our care model. So care plans is sort of the primary offering that we have on our platform today. We help a patient understand their root cause in a very simplified way that a patient can understand. That's not very technical, that's not very medical. Second, we take a whole body approach to care that sort of leads to more holistic treatment. And then finally, the way we design our programs is derived from clinical research and studies that have proven positive outcomes around the disorders we're looking at. So this is an example of a patient assessment. This takes less than 5 minutes for the patient to complete, right? And in under 5 minutes, what would instead cost them at least 5,000 to 7,000 rupees in getting lab work and tests done, they can get a personalized report that gives them a percentage score of the 4 primary triggers or root causes of PCOS, and tells them what exactly they need to do to manage their symptoms. So these are the types of digital innovation we're trying to do in terms of building assessments and patient-centric tools to help them decode their condition better and build a pathway for what is needed to treat their concerns. We're also gamifying the PCOS management journey, and we want to extend that to other conditions too. So really it's phases and levels based on a mix of tangible biomarkers and intangible success indicators that they can achieve, which would enable them to sort of climb across different phases and build a sense of long-term continuity in care, because a patient often feels lost after having tried something for a few weeks. They are expecting immediate results. So this gamification helps them see what the end outcome would be like and how much work is needed to get there. This is V1. We've done this on Facebook, on WhatsApp groups and stuff, and now we have started to integrate that into our app. And we've seen very positive outcomes with the patients we've worked with so far. Fitness and nutrition are our primary offerings that we own in-house. We partner with doctors as consultants, so would definitely love to have conversations with anyone here who would be interested in joining our mission. We've seen, on our flagship program, which is a 21-day bootcamp, we have seen an average weight loss of about 1.5 kgs among engaged users, and similar such changes across intangible symptoms too, which we feel, really help build patient confidence around the fact that the condition is manageable. So yeah, I think this is really it. Like the way we engage with doctors is you could join us as a consultant. You could come and advise us on clinical protocols and SOP establishment. We are also looking to expand into thyroid, pregnancy, endometriosis care, etc. We would love to interact with experts here and get their advice in building these programs from scratch and building interactive assessments for patients. And we also organize webinars both for our patients as well as with corporate partners to engage with women. Anybody who feels interested in that, we would love to interact. So yeah, that's really everything about UV. Thank you.
I think, Behak, excellent presentation by you. And this is something which is the need of the hour. We all know the women's health is very much neglected in our country. And whenever it comes to health issues, the male is always given a preference over the females. And this is happening at almost all the levels. Even if they get the priority, they are not able to take care of themselves because they are engaged in taking care of all the other family members. So I think your concept is very, very unique, and it brings a lot of attraction, I think. And we have many projects on which we are working on women's health. So we will definitely love to connect with you and your company, and to how do we associate and take it forward, and how we can actually work together to improve the lives of people, females or women living with a lot of metabolic disorders and the conditions. Excellent presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mehak. I think we can move forward to the next presenter. That's Piyush Vishwakarma from Jeevam Health. Over to you, Piyush. Really look forward to the presentation.
Hi, Tushar. This is Kamran. So Piyush was not available, and I'll be presenting instead. Okay, let me just share my screen. Start. It's not allowing me to present my other screen. Give me a second. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yeah. Just a quick reminder, Kamran, would be great if we could keep the presentation part to 7 minutes or less.
Sure.
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, you can see my screen, right? Hello. My screen is visible, right?
Yes, Kamran, it's visible. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Kamran. I am co-founder of Jeevam Health. I come from an engineering background. I graduated in 2015 and worked in a lot of different sectors before started working in healthcare about 2 years ago. And we started Jeevam Health and to start working in chronic conditions, especially with thyroid and other issues. Okay, so thank you DTech conference to allow me to speak in front of this audience, and thank you for everyone to join here. Jeevam Health is the digital holistic care for thyroid condition that happens mostly to women, and almost 10% of women are suffering from these conditions. Within 12 months of launch, we have treated about 1,500 patients. 91% of our patients are implementing the treatment, and we have seen that 77% success rate. That means 77% of the patients have reported improvement in their symptoms. Whenever someone onboards with us, we establish their symptom score, track high-risk symptoms frequently, and within 3 months, we are seeing that there is an improvement of 35%. And not only in symptoms, but also in biomarkers as well, like insulin resistance, thyroid antibodies. To understand the overall thyroid persona, we did a survey of 50,000 thyroid patients, and 25% of these patients have reported that the medicine-only approach is not helping. 35% of the patients say that the medicine is working sometimes it is not. So 60% of the thyroid cases are continuously going back to doctors again and again and are looking for better treatment alternatives. And also, majority of these patients are having weight issues, fatigue, and pregnancy challenges. We all know how to solve it. We need to create a very comprehensive treatment that covers food, nutrition, lifestyle, supplementation, and medication. Medicine is definitely one of the pieces of the puzzle and definitely helps in bringing the thyroid biomarkers in the normal range. But we need to ask why 60% of thyroid cases are still having weight issues, fatigue, hair fall, and other challenges. To create the holistic treatment protocol, we need to analyze health in very detail. From childhood to now, all the events, hundreds of symptoms and biomarkers. The body is a complex web, and if we want to provide efficient treatment, then without data, it is not possible. But how will we do it? Look, creating a treatment that takes hours of time and investment will be really difficult to scale, because we cannot ask doctors to give lots of time to the patient, because the doctor-patient ratio is bad in India. That's where Jivam Health comes into picture. We are creating technology, processes, protocols, and softwares to assist practitioners and patients. We are a team of IIT Roorkee engineers as well as doctors with 20 years of clinical experience. With the right blend of technology and clinical practice, we are able to solve this complex problem. We started with creating an application for patient for their mobile and a software for practitioners. The patient can track their overall symptoms, track high-risk symptoms on daily basis, analyze their progress, share challenges with their doctors and coaches. Based on the data, we are trying to contextualize the health components so that practitioners need to focus on the relevant aspects only. We are trying to analyze the risk profile of different functions of the body based on biomarkers and symptoms. Remember, we need to analyze hundreds of biomarkers across different timelines. All these tools assist the practitioners in quickly understanding the health and designing a comprehensive treatment. To help the patients further, we have started forming a community of like-minded people. Currently, we are running a community of 12,000 members consuming high-quality content from doctors and coaches. The app is available in iOS and Android. I would love to have you all on board as well. You may share your learnings, challenges, conduct workshops for the community. We are trying to build a strong community of 1 million members in next 2 years. Looking forward to connecting with you all. Feel free to connect with me or feel free to ask questions if you have any. Would love to chat with you all. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kamran.
Yeah.
Really appreciate the platform you've built.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions that we have from the panelists?
Kamran, again, excellent presentation, and it is nice to learn about your concept. And thyroid, I would like to inform you that almost 25% of patients, 25% of patients with diabetes, they also have coexisting thyroid disorders. Yes. And many of the times patients are not compliant because all these are silent killers. Patients don't feel any symptoms many of the times, and they simply keep changing their medications without seeing doctors, without consulting doctors. So this is a dangerous trend. Okay. I believe you should be able to publish some data out of it. How exactly is it helping the patient? How exactly it is translating into clinical benefit? See, there is always a concept which you have built up. You have a lot of community, you have doctors, you have dietitians, but how does it translate into the clinical benefit? Okay. Is there any benefit on? Does the app brings any value to the patient? The patient on the app, do they do better than those who are not an app? Right. So I think we need to compare these. Only then we can tell somebody that there is a benefit. And that benefit has to be shown in clinical studies. So I wish you plan some clinical studies out of it. As a doctor community, we are all here to help you. You can reach out to us, and we will try to support you as much as we can. So wish you all the best.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Dr. Amit. We are in process of collecting the data, and definitely we'll correlate the usage of the app with the clinical benefits, and that will kind of be the doctors can see, gain trust in Jeevam Health as well, and the patient will also gain trust. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kamran. Next up, we have Saurabh from DietoSure. Saurabh, over to you. Just in the interest of time, a quick reminder, 7 minutes or lesser would be really ideal. Please.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. We'll try to do that. Very good afternoon to all of you. Very proud to be here. So I would be sharing my screen. Just give me a second. Is my screen visible to you?
Yes, Kamran. Sorry, we can see the screen.
Okay, sure. Very good afternoon. I'm Saurabh from DietoSure. Basically, I would like to talk a bit about how technology is evolving to aid doctors in providing data-driven, personalized, and precise treatment of diabetes. So I'm co-founder and CEO of DietoSure Labs Private Limited. We are basically an early stage startup, health tech startup, which provides enable doctors for data-driven, personalized, and precise treatment of diabetes. Our system provides trackable and quantifiable impact of medications, drugs, insulin, sleep, and activity to both patients and doctors. So basically what we do is that we collect some multi-dimensional time variant data points via some peripheral devices like CGM, activity tracker watches, body composition monitor machines, and then we collect around 2000 plus data points to enable the doctors to treat their patients effectively with the aid of this software-based ecosystem that we provide to doctors. As to use that to provide a better kind of evidence-based treatment to their patients. So now I would like to talk about this initiative as well. So basically in India we do not have a lot of close collaboration between engineers and doctors. So I would really appreciate this kind of efforts taken by Dr. Amit, Dr. Kunsi Shabu for organizing such a talk where people from multiple disciplines can come and can discuss together and can showcase how they are trying to evolve the developments in the field of technologies, particularly related to diabetes. So then let's talk a little bit about the current method of treatment. How is it going on? So basically, right now we believe that doctors have very limited data points on which they are providing their recommendations on. It's like you have A1C levels, fasting, PP, and some other preliminary tests. But and even the data points that that the patient tells, like what they had, in terms of meals and all, and also some of the symptoms and all, they are also not very much complete and accurate because they are based on memory itself. So that needs to be changed. So just give me a second. I think so that needs to be changed, and that is what is happening right now as well in terms of it. So primarily talking about diabetes monitoring space, there are multiple efforts being made to to provide better CGM machines, efforts by Abbott, Medtronics, Dexcom, Eversense, and all are being made to and Blue Novo as well, to make kind of continuous glucose monitors, which help in providing short-term feedback loops for doctors. And also a lot of efforts are being made in the field of non-invasive monitoring by companies like No Labs and Blue Semi. So that is the developments in the field of diabetes monitoring as a space. Now, a lot of efforts are being made in the diabetes management space. That is primarily the space that we are in. So there are a lot of medical evidences showing that the impact of diets are very, very individual for patients. And so in order to know that, we need to be able to quantify the individual impacts of diets, sleeps, medications and all on the patient. So we need some kind of feedback loops, and that is the place where all these companies, particularly the tech companies coming in the medical field, comes, and we also are part of that ecosystem. So basically, in order to talk a little bit about it, So ultimately, it is all about it is all about making sense of the data that we receive from these peripheral devices. So quantifying the impact is very important, and the ultimate goal is to quantify the multiple indicators of metabolic health, like impact of diet, sleep, activity, medications, etc., on the level of glycemic controls that are achieved by the patients. And as a result, that is very important to do that. And so essentially it is about putting the numbers out, converting that collected data in terms of number and putting it out to the people, to the doctors, so that they could make sense of that data, and they could provide that kind of recommendations to the patients based on the data. Basically, we need to provide quantifiable and trackable goals on daily progress made throughout the journey of diabetes management, and essentially telling just not that if the pizza is good or bad, it is how much first impact is it generating on your diets. So and apart from this, this approach is also enabling doctors to see, how is it working, essentially generating a kind of short-term feedback loop to course correct, their treatment approach as well if it is not working. So basically quantifying the impact that is being generated in a very short amount of time as well. So now, the big difference can be made with the involvement of pattern recognition technology. So primarily there are two ways of doing it. One is basic algorithmic pattern recognition method, where you can using some basic algorithms, like in terms of our application as well, you could see how an individual person is responding in terms of multiple parameters, and you could overall paint a picture of where does this person stand in terms of metabolic score, in terms of food metabolic score for any particular food, in terms of the sleep qualities that is having, and in terms of how well of a control is it able to bring in terms of glycemic control as well. So now, give me a second.
Saurabh, just a quick time check would be great if we could conclude within the next minute or so.
Yeah, I understand. So basically, let's talk about the future possibilities. So the way we see it is that a lot of such efforts are being made indigenously and also internationally to quantify such kind of impacts in terms of numbers, and gives such kind of ability to doctor to look at the data at such level of also the granularity of the data, and also at some abstract level of looking at data with the help of this feedback. And this is enabling doctors to become super doctors, and the future seems to be very exciting in terms of that. So now, talking about how can you help as a panel, you can help us in terms of the collaboration. That is one thing which we are really hoping for, in terms of joining our board as medical advisors and providing your valuable knowledge and experience to help us make better product. Also, in terms of early adoption, you can start collaboration with us with your clinic. We currently have multiple collaborations going on. We could start that as well, and also we could help in the field of investments. Now to reach out to you, you can reach out to us. You can write a mail to us at wecare@itoshow.com, and we would love to collaborate on this.
Thank you. Hello.
Yes.
Thank you, Saurabh. Yeah. Would love to see if there's like a quick question that we could address from the faculty, else we can move to the next presenter. Okay. I think just to be cognizant of the time, really sorry. We I think can start with Adi. Adi represents Saath Sugar. So over to you, Adi. Really looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh.
Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
We can.
And just the same reminder again, very much in line with Saath Sugar, 7 minutes would be like a great time to keep our tabs on. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm going to start the slideshow. Hello. Yeah, are you seeing my presentation? Hello.
We can see the presentation. Adi.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. For having us. This is Adi, co-founder of 7Sugar. I'll be talking about how 7Sugar is empowering doctors, to deliver superior clinical outcomes. So, what is our promise to doctors, right? Well, we want to assist doctors to improve patient compliance and deliver better clinical treatment outcomes. And second is that we want to regularize patient engagement and build long-term patient relationship. We believe this is the key to better glycemic control over time, because diabetes at certain stage tends to stay with you, and our goal is to make sure that you're in glycemic control as long as possible, so that you can ward off complications. And we want to boost patient engagement. These are the three things that we want to deliver using 7Sugar, and we want to do this all without the burden of time. This is very important because doctors have limited time. We want to make sure that we deliver this without the burden of time. And how do we do it? We have built a solution which is a 360-degree approach to deliver personalized diabetes care using more than 1,000 data points. The first is, as you've seen, many startups that are there in this space, we all track somewhat similar type of data, which is physical activity, food, your vitals, your prescription, your sleep. And then what we do is, we actually analyze these parameters, and then we share them with the team of care providers. It could be the doctor, it could be the doctor's team, which could include dietitian, or it could be other doctors as well, like a referral doctor. And because of this closed loop system, where doctors and patients are connected digitally and they're able to see the information, we see interventions a lot more precise, and treatment actually becoming a lot more targeted, and patient getting better sooner. This is our a block diagram of our app. It looks, we have a mobile application that takes in all the data. Then we store it in the EHR EMR, and which is longitudinal data. Then we have a lot of powerful data analytics platform which crunches this and shares insights with the healthcare practitioners. We also share insights with the patients wherever we see that a patient can take control of things. And this closed loop continues until we reach a target of the patient and the doctor is aiming for. Beyond that, they can continue to stay in the app, and then monitor them how they are maintaining their stable health. So I think the key for us is the data analytics platform, which forms the core of our IP. Here are some sample screens, where we show what the patient would see when they log in. They can check their time in target. They can look at their calories consumed, steps. They get an agenda for what they have to do on a daily basis. Every meal is analyzed for calories with the use of a simple photo. And so we've seen excellent engagement from patient with what we have provided. And then we also, what we do is we regularize patient engagement for the doctor. For example, post consult we work with the patients to increase patient compliance, vitals tracking per protocol, out of range alerts. And then pre-consult we provide them with labs, appointment reminders, symptom tracking, and we also give them a 7Sugar personalized report, which is a proprietary report that we have developed. The combination of the two, the activities that we do post-consult and the activities we do pre-consult, which makes the consultation time at the clinic super effective, because it is no longer history taking, it's more about counseling, which is very precise, and which is more about cause and effect understanding, for the patient, and so it becomes very effective. We also provide custom protocols, unparalleled level of customization. Doctors are able to customize their the app around 30 dimensions to tailor to their practice, and because of this, we can address a variety of use cases. And here are some of the things that we have seen on our platform. In fact, we have seen some more, but broadly, these are the things that are, the majority of the cases, that we have addressed. Pre-diabetes, early, late to gestational obesity related issues. So, and what is the impact so far? More than 70% of the patients on the platform have seen improved time in range. 1.7% A1C reduction in 3 months. That's a 90-day period, which is quite dramatic and quite impactful. Many thousands lives have been served by on our platform. We have analyzed hundreds and thousands of meals that our patients have submitted on our platform. And every report, we can see at least 20 actionable data points that the doctor and the patient can use, because of which our interventions are highly targeted. Now, after all this discussion, right, when you show this to the doctor says, Adi, you guys have done a fantastic work, congratulations. But I'm really concerned about many things. The first question is going to ask is, are you guys like this company? I'm not going to name that. That is the first question they're going to ask. And my answer is that, we do not have ratings on our platform. We do not show ads on our platform. What you do with your patient data is your business. We don't mess with it. And patient can see only you and your care team on the app. Even though we have many doctors, every patient sees his own doctor and every doctor sees his own patient. So nobody knows, who the others are. Then the next question that comes is, hey, I don't have time to explain your program to my patients. My OPD is full, which is the case for most diabetes patients, right? Most diabetes doctors who are practicing diabetes. So our answer is that, we'll onboard the patient onto the program for you. We'll handle the patient to, for them to understand the value of sharing information so that, your doctor consultation next time becomes more effective. And then your staff, the doctor's staff or our diabetes educator can answer basic patient questions. So this, we provide a layer so that, doctors are not disturbed all the time. This is a very important service, doctors appreciate a lot. And then, we provide a very simple report, where data is analyzed in intuitive and interactive manner. This is the key because, our reports are highly valued by doctors. Then the question comes in, what about privacy and security? Again, the doctor can approve who can now have access to data. We have the state-of-the-art cloud security. We're building another layer of security, by collaboration with the next Apple infrastructure head for digital services. We've seen the product, we really love it, and so we're going to bring it in. Then there is no third-party sharing of data, on our platform. So that's kind of a thing that we do for our doctors. There's many more concerns we address for our doctors, because of what we do. But I just wanted to share some of the top ones. Again, just to reiterate, we want to assist doctors to improve patient compliance and deliver superior treatment outcomes. We want to regularize patient engagement and build long-term patient relationship. We also want to boost patient engagement. Again, we have a bunch of services we provide to the doctors, which will help them improve, boost patient engagement. And many of the doctors want to avail of these services where they cannot provide on their own. Again, we do all of this without extra burden on time of the doctors. Some of the doctors' feedback, Dr. Karthik Balchandran, Dr. Om Lakhani, it's important to be aligned with platforms that genuinely focus on doctors' interests and patient interests. Dr. Teja Latia, she's an endocrinologist practicing in Mumbai. She says, it has simplified my management of diabetes patients. The general feedback from doctors is, 7 Sugar is designed with the practitioner needs in mind. So we got some great feedback, and of course, we've gone through the troubles of fixing all the bugs when we launched, which is the case with any digital startup. I think we're in a very good place for us to expand and scale. And so we look forward to support from the medical community to take this up, and we are aligned with your interests. The platform is designed for doctors for doctors. So we look forward to your support. Please visit our website www.7sugar.com, and where you can download our app or you can submit your request, and we'll do a webinar for you. That's my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take care right now.
Thank you, Mr. Kesarla, and we must congratulate you for bringing this wonderful platform. And I'm sure thousands of doctors are watching this. You may be seeing only few faces here, but this meeting is actually live stream, and we have thousands of delegates who have joined us from all across the world, and they are all listening to you. They are all seeing these products, and these talks which you have delivered here will be available on our platform, that is doctube.co.in, and it will feature there, so that we will share the links with you, so anybody can watch it later also. And next time I will request you, when that one more thing which you can do is that you also try to present some data also, that how it is benefiting. when you join us in the next World Congress of the Diabetes Technology, and this is going to be a face-to-face meeting, and I'm already informing all of you in advance. So we want that something, now we talk something next. So we have introduced our platform. Next time, I request everybody who has presented here to come up with the data, and we would like to, all of you to have paper presentation, poster presentation, and the talks.
Sure. Just Amit, we have seen 1.7% reduction in A1C, on the patients that are on the platform.
Very good.
And nearly 80% improvement in time in range, which is a new measure that we're using.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Dr. Ami, I think you had a...
Yeah, no, I just wanted to just really say what Dr. Ahmed just said. We may be a few faces seen right now, but we have thousands of delegates joining us on doctube.co.in. So many people are listening to all these startups, and everyone's doing a fantastic job. I think we are to the last presentation now.
Yeah. Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Ami,
thank you.
Sorry, Dr. Ami, we were losing your audio a little. We could.
Yes. So we have our next... Hello. We have our next presenter, Mr. Anders Ikens, and he is going to talk about a very innovative solution again, which is going to help the patients with diabetes and may help us in detecting diabetic retinopathy earlier. So welcome, Dr. Anders, and please go ahead with your presentation.
Thanks a lot. First, huge thanks to Dr. Banshi Sabu who invited us here, and also for the organizing committee for bringing us all together. I'm Anders Ikens. I'm CEO and co-founder in Oivi. We are an Indo-Norwegian startup focusing on early detection of diabetic retinopathy. I have been working in the camera industry for more than 20 years. Last 9 years, I started 3 companies. One failed, one IPO'd and is now listed on the Oslo Stock Exchange, and Oivi is my 3rd startup. We're now 30 employees in Oivi, based in both Norway and in Bangalore. Many of us have worked together in the past, developing and bringing cameras to markets in different industries. But now we have come together again, applying our experience on cameras and artificial intelligence to make a change in early detection of diabetic retinopathy. Of course, you all know this problem we are addressing. In short, diabetes can cause blindness, but early screening can enable early treatment and save sight on a massive scale. Challenge is there are simply not enough eye specialists in the world to do this screening. And the cameras available today are built for these eye specialists. Either they're too expensive, too difficult to use, or produce poor image quality. And only the eye specialists can afford these high quality, expensive automated cameras. And there are already quite a few initiatives applying AI diagnostics for detecting diabetic retinopathy and other retinal conditions. But there are lots of challenges related to clinical use. The process of submitting the images to the cloud for AI analysis is very manual. And there's a need for trained personnel, which leads to extra costs and extra time. So the current system does simply not scale. We need ease of use, speed, image quality at acceptable price points. And that's how Oivi is different. Our cameras are made for use in primary care, such as a GP's office or diabetes clinic. We do not make cameras for ophthalmologists. We deploy it close to where people live and make it both fast and super easy to use, so a nurse or medical secretary can use it. To be able to do that, we automate both the image capture and also deploy the AI diagnostics embedded in the camera, running on a dedicated dedicated neural compute chip. Our differentiation is very much linked to deploying AI on different levels. First, we have built a database of pupillary images and built a neural net to track the eye. And normally, the eye specialist does this alignment manually. We have built an AI-based robotic system to automate this alignment. Next, we automatically annotate the retinal images using our embedded AI platform to find features in the image associated with this particular disease. Initially, we provide these images to our remote eye specialists to speed up the diagnostics process. And third, we're building a neural net to do this diagnostics automatically. So there will not be a need for having an eye specialist in the loop anymore. It's a longer regulatory procedure, especially in Europe and the United States. So we are doing this step by step. We don't just want to build a device or a software. We want to build an ecosystem where doctors, specialists, and the patients are connected via seamless service. We not only screen and diagnose patients, but also work with leading eye hospitals and retina specialists to connect patients to affordable treatment. Costs will be reduced, but also the delivery of care will be improved. The primary care provider can add an extra service layer to their patients, allowing for retinal screening and diagnostics, and also tracking disease progression without the patient needing unnecessary referrals to eye specialists. AI may also improve patients' access to eye care, since remote and teleophthalmic screening initiatives can be combined with AI-enabled technologies to help diagnose and treat eye disease, thereby preventing vision loss. AI technologies, once developed, require fewer resources to operate than laborious, time-intensive, and expensive human-led screening programs. Strong partnerships between diabetes clinics and AI-enabled camera and diagnostics companies like Oivi can really make a difference if we combine it with a network of retinal treatment providers. If we're able to do this in the right way, we can potentially prevent blindness among diabetics on a massive scale. AI is now opening the doors at every step of health management, screening large populations, epidemiology, diagnostics, monitoring and follow-ups, and treatment planning. We are now ramping up production, and we're actively looking for pilot clinical partners here in India. So please reach out to us for a discussion. And thanks a lot for listening in. Any questions?
So, Mr. Anders, is there any clinical study which you have already done on this product?
We have done, let's call it a pilot clinical study. It's really about ability to test on patients, of course, in a safe and sound way at an eye hospital, and to get this to feedback into our R&D. And we're planning a larger, proper clinical trial this year.
So wish you all the best, and I hope when you present next year at our Congress in a face-to-face meeting, we will be having a lot of data from you.
Oh yeah, we'll bring the camera for sure, and although you get to try it.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Tushar, for keeping everything in time. I guess despite so many presentations, everybody could present in time, and we are just late by 4 minutes. So a big round of applause for you, because you really made it in time.